Spark Chief, Cooper, Zeros, Vision, Energy, and Vest with their coach Legit. It's been a tough road to get here. You started off so strong, but find yourselves down here, warmed up, but in the losers bracket. How prepared are you for Na'Vi, who you've already played in groups?
At the end of the day, we're here for a reason. We're not going to go down without winning a good map. We're going to win this series too, and we're going to go back to BP, and we're going to beat their ass again.
Crowd seems to agree with you. It is your time to say something out to them, to hype them up, to get them behind FlyQuest, your home crowd. What are you going to say to get them in?
Just remember, guys, we're here for you. We need you here for us. Whatever happens, we just need you to cheer for us one last time throughout this entire day.
One last time, get yourself seated. It's FlyQuest! The winners of Group B, with the hungriest Jeff in the game and one of the undeniably most in-sync duelist duos of all time. It's time to fly. And time for our second team from EMEA, the current world champions. It's Na'Vi! Leading the team, trust me! Jerky! Fates! Level 1 Crook! Rogero! And Naga! Jerky, this team's been here before and fought through it. I feel like I'm parroting myself from yesterday. Do you have it?
I mean, looking to my side, we have Captain Germany next to me. He's ready to put in the work, so I think we have it. I think we have it.
You didn't have it versus FlyQuest in the groups. What makes it different now?
I guess you guys are just gonna have to wait and see.
You're gonna be heading into this. This is your rematch, and you're in front of an opposing crowd who are definitely seemingly behind FlyQuest. But there might be some people who you can persuade over. Why should they root for Na'Vi?
I mean, I can't trash talk here. I think these guys are amazing. We are amazing, and I think everyone here supporting us is supporting esports in general. So I don't wanna say any mean words. Just enjoy the show, and we'll do our best.
And for the final words, let's head over to Captain Germany himself. Trust me. What do you have to say to the crowd out there?
Assemble!
Assemble! Please head to your seats and join me in welcoming Na'Vi! The current world champions looking to make it number 2. They are the final boss of Ignite. And they're here with the run back and the keys to the $1 million prize pool. For one of these teams, the journey ends here. For the other, an ascension to the upper bracket to play against Virtus Pro. And there's only 2 people who could do it justice. So let's head over to Vicky Kitty and Got Moxie for our lower bracket finals!
Thank you so much, Setcher. As the voice actor of Jeff John just said, let's get ready to rumble for our losers finals, Moxie. Best of 5. You heard it from the players. Captain Germany himself. I mean, you know what? I like the confidence that we're seeing so far, but everything's on this table for this run back opportunity.
I like as well the fact that Na'Vi was saying maybe we're going to be seeing something a little bit new, as this was a team that was known for being the innovators. They were one of the first, the OGs in getting to engineer that Jeff composition strategy all the way back in June. It wasn't even at our mid-season finals, and it is going to be Hellfire Gala, starting things off with a bang as we party on Krakoa, one of Jeff's best maps. But Vicky, you and I, we were talking about it. When it comes to the ban strategy, there is one hero that FlyQuest simply cannot allow through. We are both in agreement that Psylocke needs to go.
Yeah, please, because if we've learned our lesson after our last series, Psylocke being a problem is going to be the same issue going into the series. Jerky cannot get enabled with the amount of times we've seen Jerky pop off on that Psylocke, getting the MVP game after game. And you know, when you take a look at the head-to-heads alone, that's kind of what I was expecting. If we do end up seeing the Psylocke get through for both of these teams, I'm expecting to see that Energy v Jerky matchup.
Well, we could also potentially get to see that Hella Namor matchup into the Psylocke, because we've seen FlyQuest on this map in particular like to run the Hella, like to run the Namor, a composition which is very, very good at shutting down those dive pushes if the correct conditions are enabled, one of which being winning the first fight. So often we talk on domination about these compositions needing to have to win that first fight are going to be. And for FlyQuest, yes, you just got beaten, but you did at least come through with game time. For Na'Vi, they're coming in cold. They've got to hit this ground running.
And I like how you bring that up, because sometimes that's the momentum that you need to carry into your next game. Yes, you may have just gotten beat, but now you're more fired up than ever to go into this next series, to prove a point when you're here in home court, when the crowd is rallying with you. And if you're Na'Vi, I like hearing that speech. They recognize what a great opponent, what a great team FlyQuest is, but they're also looking to prove that they are here to take it into the grand finals.
Well, from looking to listening, we're going to hear what exactly Na'Vi sounded like yesterday when they had the game-winning comms beating 100 Thieves.
Wow, a team of many words, let me tell you, and I like the passion that we see here from Na'Vi while we get set up and we get to see how this series is going to go. Because remember, Moxie, we keep highlighting it for a reason. The run-back potential between these two teams, right? We got to see FlyQuest originally in day 3 of group stage beat Na'Vi 2-1. That's why I'm expecting in this best of 5 to go the distance. You have more opportunities for the pick and ban phase. You have a better chance of trying to find the adaptation in case maybe you need to try to run a different composition.
Yeah, Na'Vi, I call them the boomerang team, right? Because you get one, you get to throw them, and then they just bounce back. And Na'Vi, they got the opportunity to watch Virtus Pro beat FlyQuest. In particular, they got to watch how Virtus Pro played the ban draft against FlyQuest. So are FlyQuest going to be struck with the same strategist sweep out that we saw previously? Because as the desk talked about, that was previously a strategy from this very team.
It's good to know, and that's something else that they were watching, right? And with everything on the table, when you have a $1 million prize pool, the separation between second place and third place is essentially a $40,000 USD money match. That's how you have to consider this series of this best of 5. And now understanding that they had some time to watch, all right, do we fully go in and ban the strategist backline?
I mean, Na'Vi, they've liked playing for these Mantis compositions, so FlyQuest might continue the instant ban on the Mantis. For that reason, level 1 Crook, we talk about, you know, Fate being one of the inventors of the Jeff strategy. Well, level 1 Crook has always had the Mantis in his corner, trying to push it into the meta all the way back from Season 0 and beyond. So for FlyQuest, that's one of the problems that they're going to have to deal with. It's going to be a matter of, do you want to instant ban the Jeff? Do you want to instant ban the Mantis? Whichever one doesn't get immediately grabbed out is likely going to be the first save.
We get to look down below here too, Spark Chief being the vanguard of FlyQuest, as well as Jerky. We keep highlighting the Psylocke problems. Jerky is so crazy. We've been seeing him really perform within the bracket stage, and this is just the bracket stage, by the way.
The final hits, look at the difference. I mean, it's a Psylocke. Psylocke is going to be coming on through with a whole host of these final hits because all of that damage is concentrated, right? And for Psylocke, a lot of the time when she's actually in the middle of those fights, she's going through with those dashes, she's managing to be able to find those eliminations, she's trying to get as much damage done as possible as well to build up the Dance of the Butterflies, where we saw it even in the previous series. If Sparker is on the Psylocke and there's a Groot in play, he will literally just shift his attention swing to the Vanguards to prioritize the ultimate instead.
And why is that? Exactly, to be able to boost up that ultimate. Of course, you know, when you have that side by side, again, it's the difference between a duelist and the Vanguard, but it's important to know, just looking at what Spark Chi's Vanguard pool is. You talk about the Groot, that's the #1. Angela's kind of been like the new thing coming in from left field, Venom, and the Cap too. So then you look at the way that both Na'Vi and FlyQuest had battled it out against each other in the past. We got to see FlyQuest ban the Bucky, the Atom, the Loki, and even the Emma, while they were protecting their own Psylocke and Emma, which is also important too. When you expect the Psylocke from the other side, how crazy it is to have an Emma for your own team to be able to get into that diamond form and get the choke slam.
Yeah, I mean, Emma doesn't really see all that many bans unless it's particularly on Convoy, as maybe we get to see that as the answering response, right? Rajaro has looked so incredibly solid, pun entirely intended, when he gets to use that diamond form on the Emma, putting pressure on the Vanguards and also allowing Na'Vi's backline full buffer between themselves and any aggressive plays from their opponents, as we can have a look and see another one of our statistics, and this is the team as a whole. The bracket stage, everything done by all players on FlyQuest and all players on Na'Vi. 484 final hits coming through from their side, and I feel like a big chunk of them is probably from Jerky Slices.
It's just crazy how there's that 80 KO differential between these two teams. As we're getting locked and loaded, everyone, thank you so much for your patience, but it is time. The losers finals here within the Marvel Rivals Ignite 2025 Grand Finals. Our teams have worked so hard to make it onto the stage, and now it's do or die if you are FlyQuest right now looking to make a comeback.
Here comes the ban draft. Na'Vi going to be removing the Jeff. FlyQuest sticking to their former plan against Virtus.pro and taking out the Mantis, but look at what they've done. They've saved the Loki instead of the Mantis, which means that Na'Vi, they're going to be forced to choose. Do you remove the Mantis? Do you remove the Atom? Both of these things the Loki is going to be able to enable, and Na'Vi, they let the Atom through. Mantis is targeted instead.
Which is something we've been seeing a lot more often, Moxie. You and I were actually talking about it right before today really started and trying to find where that Atom is so it's not a problem as they get the protect onto the Venom.
This is actually huge from FlyQuest as well, because that Loki save now minimizes the impact of the Psylocke, because those dash damages from the Dance of the Butterflies are going to be absorbed by the Doppelgangers, while also having Regeneration Domain to heal all the way through it. Jeff is now going to be banned out, which means that Na'Vi don't manage to get Fate on one of his staple heroes, because they went for the save on the Venom instead. So that in the neutral, they have the Venom to be able to create the space for the Psylocke, something that Jeff just doesn't do, and that's why we're going to see Na'Vi yet again go for a dive component on the save. It's the Psylocke that we just talked about before FlyQuest get the opportunity to lock it out. This now means that this next ban has to be something like that Luna or potentially the Emma, but no, they remove the Daredevil instead.
This is interesting right now. A completely different look. It's almost like with FlyQuest, they have adapted after that last series. They have taken note after what they just played earlier against VP, what the problems were when it came to dealing with certain compositions. And now we get to see the last protect, and it's going to be the Cloak and Dagger.
This is really, really smart from the side of FlyQuest, because you banned out the Captain America, right? That means that Na'Vi are likely going to be playing the Venom. Venom is just a hitbox, a walking hitbox into the Terror Cape blind with that 28% increased vulnerability damage for the next 3 seconds, meaning that Trust Me is going to be in and out in shorter intervals, which means that Jerky, his uptime is going to be impacted as well.
It's crazy too, with FlyQuest also looking at their bans like, man, EMEA, this is a full strategist lineup ban once again that they're dealing with. That's why they were forced to protect the Loki and the Cloak, almost like what they were expecting at the very end, as we get started with our very first map on Krakoa.
It's been a very long time, though, since Loki has been able to go into that 2-2-2 strategist format with the nerfs that were hit onto him in terms of numbers. The regen domain still as strong as it was before. The ultimate still as strong as it was before, but do you manage to get a good copy off? Because all you really have in terms of access is your Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, you might be able to snipe out level 1 Crook on that Luna, but what Na'Vi can do is stack the bodies in front of it because the Loki needs line of sight to get the ultimate, and that time might be the difference between Jerky getting an elimination with Dance of the Butterflies and FlyQuest being able to stave it off.
Nice to note here too, with the portals being opened up, and you also got to see Na'Vi getting a little bit of that shield just in case it opened up these fights, but it's about taking control over the high ground to start off this fight. As you can see, FlyQuest now making that swap up. Vez over into that Magneto, one of the best roles he represents, as Energy and Vision are rocking the team up between the Namor and Hela.
Na'Vi didn't walk up though, they portaled in. Trust me, on the Venom will be able to regroup with them because they wanted to hold the high ground off of the angle for the Hela and Namor, but FlyQuest still managed to find the first pick, and BRB was not up to save level 1 Crook. FlyQuest now with the Magneto putting their position onto the point, forcing Na'Vi into a brawl tempo rather than a dive, and that's going to be first cap picked up for FlyQuest.
Just as quick as they started up this fight, now they're going to be able to take control over the fight, but it's not over. Look at the split position of Na'Vi to the side, as Na'Vi, they retaliate. They find both strategists off of FlyQuest. No sustainability here for FlyQuest, as now Vision, he gets the retaliation, but Jerky being on the sidelock gets enabled together with Rajara.
I mean, Jerky just has everything that a Psylocke could want, right? A Venom to create the space, the projection team up coming on through with Rajara on the ammo, and the idle aura from level 1 Crook. We said that you had to be worried about the Psylocke, and Na'Vi have absolutely everything that the Psylocke could desire. Their Dance of the Butterflies should be absorbed by the Doppelgangers, but Na'Vi have the Ensong Inferno to shut that down too.
Off the Snowflake and a BRB, you're going to be able to get a lot more aggressive as Trust Me's looking to make some space. Look at Jerky. He's creeping about before he tries to get the jump on the strategist up on the bridge. Invisible, the follow-up together with the team up that Emma Frost provides here. He's looking for the opportunity to get the Dance of Butterflies, but they need to wait for the strategist ultimate to come out. But with Cooper going down, no God of Mischief, it's up to Zelos and the Eternal Bond. As a meteor comes up, it must find itself going down onto Na'Vi. Now as they try to survive, they're holding onto these ultimates for quite some time.
Cosmic Yawn Amplifier, Horn of Proteus from Vision, but Ensong Inferno prevents any momentum picked up by that Namor ultimate, and Na'Vi are still in control of this point. Jerky with the projection manages to make it back to his Emma. Rajara shields them off with the Aegis, and FlyQuest are forced to swap. Tidal Dirge team up taken away. Energy has to go onto the Winter Soldier and look for the neutral shutdown on the dive instead.
It's the fact that Jerky, by the way, is already at 80% in ult charge after we just saw the Dance of Butterflies. Furthering your point, Moxie, about what you were mentioning about the Groot 2, as Cooper holding on to that God of Mischief after he had gone out early in that previous fight. You have to imagine now, as Cooper's looking on the back end.
It's too early! It's preemptive, which means that Na'Vi are just going to wait it out. Cooper has to come on through with the Fate of both worlds in response to Rajara's ultimate, but that means that they're not going to have the Loki ultimate to shut the Dance of the Butterflies down. It has to be an aggressive play when they've still got the Fate of both worlds up, but they haven't found the elimination. Jerky is on the field. The Loki doppelgangers too are able to absorb the damages, but that means that they have nothing for when the Feast of the Abyss comes through, and Na'Vi in overtime are clearing FlyQuest positions.
And together with the anti-heal, even with the Eternal Bomb used up, nice Terror Cape to find level 1 Crook, but with Vision going down, they are outnumbered. Currently, trust me, Fate, here's popping off. Overtime, taken away, forces out the recontention with the portal.
Regeneration domain does mean that FlyQuest will be able to stabilize temporarily through that portal, but they don't have the numbers, they don't have an ultimate to follow up the bodies, and Na'Vi walk away with the Grove in firm, dominant style. Jerky on the Psylocke, we highlighted this player. We said that he was one of the stars. He was the one that they picked up, already testing him out in those scrim blocks before we got to see the pickup onto Crisis late. And his Psylocke has been absolutely insane.
It's the fact that Fate also being on the Raccoon has not gone down once. Pesky. As you can see, Jerky literally 10-1, 6 final hits for this player. But I love the duo that we are also seeing, the follow-up with Trust Me on this Venom.
The amount of follow-up, like you said, that Na'Vi have, it's like Trust Me goes in, and they look for these soft dive engagements, like when they know that Cooper has the ultimate, when the fight is fresh, and Regeneration Domain is still active, they go for the soft dive, try and force it out, back away, stabilize, come back in again with the Dance of the Butterflies, as they are just generating it so quickly. That's sort of the double-edged sword, if you will, about running a Loki. More doppelgangers on the field mean more bodies for the Psylocks to be able to farm the ultimate off.
It comes in clutch, and that's why Jerky's been able to get these ultimates so quickly in a lot of these engagements now as FlyQuest. They want to try to get this point first. We know how strong it is to take control over this fight in the very beginning, as Vision does have that ultimate ready to go. That's the Meteor M. Smart Chief now making that swap over to the Angela to get more disruption online. But look at Trust Me and the Feast of the Abyss.
Smart Chief, like you said, on that Angela will be able to intercept some of these dive setups from Trust Me. Won't be able to intercept the Feast of the Abyss. And everyone from Na'Vi were already on the point to be able to follow up the damage and the anti-heal. And oh my goodness,
no.
They're just delaying the pick.
And this, every time you get a first fight stagger too on Dom, it is so crucial because now you get even more progress on the points. You extend your lead. FlyQuest, sure, they'll be able to come right back around. And with Vez making a swap over to the Emma, I do agree with this, right?
Yeah.
Even with the Magneto that we saw in our previous series, by the very end of that series, it wasn't really finding their mark. If you're not being able to land these Meteor M's, it's crucial in a lot of these matchups, especially when you have a Luna that you're dealing with.
Vez's presence as well, with the threat of Carbon Crush, should be enough to force Trust Me's positioning away from the Vanguard, allowing FlyQuest to start pushing their way forward, angling for that frontline brawl with both the Bucky and the Phoenix getting to play with the main core and the off angle. We still have to worry though about Jerky. With the Dance of the Butterflies, Silent Seduction opens the way. Jerky gets the elimination of the Cooper. No doppelgangers, no regeneration domain, no player from FlyQuest will be able to survive the onslaught, and Na'Vi walk away, but silver lining, it's at least a fast fight, a precious percentage picked on up in comparison to what it was before.
Is it going to be worth it when FlyQuest are sweating when they try to get the counter pick to deal with Jerky on having this Emma Frost, trying to get the choke slam that they're covering and enabling Jerky with? They still have Crook's Fate of both worlds. They still have Fate and the Sia as Spark Chief. Force it back away, but now here on the Angela still is trying to get this disruption while Zelos can start the fight with the Eternal Bond.
FlyQuest, like you said, starting off that fight, likely with the Eternal Bond off of the portal, getting to close the position onto the point. Ensong Inferno is the first ultimate to try to deal with Na'Vi. Out comes that Eternal Bond, allowing FlyQuest to move on forward, but we've got Fate of both worlds from Na'Vi's end, damage boosting the Ensong Inferno, and Cooper through the ultimate falls. FlyQuest now relying on Spark Chief in overtime. The Heaven's Retribution not going to be able to pick up the stall that it looks for. Energy's onto the Doctor Strange, but Vicky, I don't think there's enough time.
The speed run after map 1 alone, a complete different outcome after we've seen these teams face off against each other. And now Na'Vi, they know what they need to do, Moxie. FlyQuest, they were not able to deal with Jerky, and again, it goes hand in hand with that pick and ban phase when Jerky gets a pop off on that Psylocke.
Na'Vi continue to be this bounce back team. They'll give you one, you get one. That's why they're known for these runs through in the lower bracket run. Speaking about one, that's the amount of casualties that Trust Me, Rajaro, and Jerky found themselves with. Fate, by the way, an entire 2 rounds of play, did not revisit that spawn room once, and that's what you want on the rocket, right? Because if the rocket's not going down, the BRB is always there in position for when Na'Vi need it to be.
And at that point, too, when you look at Cooper on the Loki, 0-7. I mean, when you protect the Loki and you're not being able to get these God of Mischiefs to get these falls to keep these fights going,
yeah.
I mean, then you're also not enabling your Vanguard. Your Vanguards are not staying alive to control that space.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw like these sort of shades of counterplay against a dive composition from FlyQuest's comp, right? We got to see the Bucky we got to see an attempt at the Hell on Namor. If they'd won the first fight and been able to actually push Na'Vi into a full reposition retake situation, that would have had a lot more traction in terms of what it had pick potential-wise. Then we got to see Vision moving over to things like that Phoenix trying to play for the stun, because Na'Vi, when they dive, they're stacking their players. You can get a multiple body stun, then you can follow up with either that immediate pick from Energy or the Winter Soldier looking for those hook controls, but we never really got to see that come into fruition because Na'Vi just play around it perfectly. They had so many ultimates that they could just steamroll.
And the team of two, the wombo combos of the ultimate follow-ups between Na'Vi just dipped that of FlyQuest, right? You saw the attempt on having the Strangling Prison together with the Whale. Well, guess what? Na'Vi together with Fate and the Sia, the Phoenix, Endsong, Infernal, the Damage Burst too, whenever you see Trust Me with the Feast of the Abyss, was just so much to deal with.
And they managed as well to pick FlyQuest for so many of those strategist ultimates too. Like, that's the reason why we were seeing so many casualties on the side of FlyQuest, because when it came to that trade of those strategist ultimates, the Luna with the Fate of both worlds for the damage amp, Fate, like you said, with the Cosmic Ion Amplifier, both being able to output a 40% push when they're active, just meant that FlyQuest never had the actual heal resources to stand up to all of the incoming damage.
It's the fact that Jerky only went down once, by the way, had 16 final hits too.
16, 11.5 thousand damage. And I mean, Psylocke players, they're not normally, well, sometimes they are like the one with the most amount of damage. Back in 4.0, we would be expecting it to be the Phoenix because of the Beyblade tech. But when it comes on through and you have a Loki to be able to use as a pin cushion, a Groot to be able to use as a pin cushion, you're pushing your ultimate up. You've got the Luna to enable to go aggressive. You've got your Venom creating as much space as possible so that every single time you want to commit, you're not being marked, you're not being cleared out, you're not being forced into downtime and thus not doing any damage. It was just constant pressure from Na'Vi's end, and that's what Dive is so formidably known for, right? We've both got to see Dive as a composition for a very long time, and one of the things that it punishes is when these teams try to walk into these fights without that game plan in mind, because it interrupts, it intercepts when you're still ult-tracking, when you're still trying to work out what do I need to do, where do I need to go.
And it's more important too when you're also able to force out these staggers off the very beginning, because you're not only staggering the time for them to come out of spawn, you're staggering their ult economy. You're preventing them from leaning into these win conditions, and to be able to start the series off in our best of 5 with such a dominating fashion when FlyQuest usually has a pretty good record on Krakoa. I mean, in this grand final series alone, they've been going 2 and now 1. Before they were 2-0. And then you look at Na'Vi, they hadn't even played on Krakoa. They just come out of the gates and knew exactly what they had to do.
Yeah, for FlyQuest, it's about just reset, right?
Yeah.
It's not a best of 3. Losing domination isn't a nail in the coffin. You still have an opportunity to be able to bounce back in the series, but it needs to start right here. You can't go into the half 2 maps down, especially when the silver lining of losing one of those maps is getting to determine where we go next and which side.
Having to highlight some of the biggest plays too from that very first series. We saw a freeze come out onto the Groot. I believe it was actually level 1 Crook who had gotten that, yes, from that Luna. Canceling out the Groot ult, something else you have to look for. If you're gonna expect Na'Vi to keep going forward with these strategist bans.
I mean, do you just go for the instant ban on the Psylocke? But then again, that means Mantis or Jeff is going to be able to make it through. So it's a tough one for FlyQuest, because as we talked about, Na'Vi is a team that is known for masterfully navigating through the draft. They're also a team that is known for being next to impossible to being able to fully ban out, with the flexibility, with the fact that they play so many different things to such a high level, which has now become, I would say, a requirement for Marvel Rivals at this level.
I totally agree here, and we're getting set up for going into game number 2. Moxie, I mean, what do you think FlyQuest needs to do differently? You're looking at Energy, who usually is that MVP piece that needs to be enabled, right? When we take a look at the other side, we've highlighted why Jerky is so deadly, but then on the other half, the young gun legend, only 17 years old, Energy, he wasn't really able to get anything done despite the bans that we saw coming out really focusing on the strategies, but that also kind of goes hand in hand to what we were saying before. When your Loki can't stay alive and there's a Psylocke ultimate waiting for you at every choke before you even get to the point, how do you try to navigate around that?
I mean, there's always going to be a disparity, right? If you're constantly losing your strategists and your vanguards are never getting their uptime, there's no space being created for your duelists to be able to do what they want to. That's why they swapped off of the Hela Namor. Those are two duelists who require so much space and so many resources to be pumped into them. I think for FlyQuest to try and find a way back into this series, what you do is you try and take us to a convoy map, because that is where we're getting to see the Emma ban first and foremost. And if you remove the Emma, you limit Rajaro, but if the Psylocke does manage to slip through, you also impact Jerky's uptime by removing the team up, which would heavily impact the uptime charge of the Dance of the Butterflies, allowing FlyQuest to actually build the strategist ultimates to go against it.
And I believe it is a good idea to go to Convoy here too, right? Because if we do end up going, we have to avoid Yggdrasil, no matter what, right? Because it's Na'Vi, right? Na'Vi loves, this is basically like their playground, so they're not going to go to Yggdrasil. Maybe thinking Midtown here. We have seen them fall twice onto Midtown, but they also have been able to take at least one series there. Meanwhile, though, you look at FlyQuest, and it's kind of a checkmate because their best Convoy map is Yggdrasil, but it's not as perfect of a record as Na'Vi. So thinking here, maybe Midtown, as we've gone 1-1, for FlyQuest and getting everything settled, you have to also think about it from the player's perspective.
Yeah.
You need a mental reset.
Yes.
You just got 3-0'd in the previous series, and now it was a pretty dominating takeover for that first map.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where your coach is going to come in absolutely clutch, right? This is where you're able to say, hey, guys, it's okay, this happens. We just have to head into this next one and make sure that we play clean and we play to our own game. And we are going to see, it is indeed going to be a convoy map. It is indeed not going to be POVS. We will be headed on over to Midtown. So this is one of those maps where Jeff is less impactful on first and second, but it's also one of those maps that attacking teams have started being able to work out how to break the spawn hold, either by front-loaded damage compositions and walking them down with the threat and pressure of a Storm Moon Knight Punisher composition, or we get to see token resistance on the front line to just be a smokescreen and disguise the movements of dive characters on the sidelines.
Gonna have to see how this pick and ban phase irons out. As is it going to be another target strategist ban line? Thinking with energy and how we've highlighted this player too, usually when it comes to the 3-3 and they start things off on the defense, they come out with the Magneto or even the Moon Knight.
It's not an Emma. It is going to be a Mantis first ban, which means do Na'Vi go, similar to the way that we saw POVS actually, with a save on what they think is their priority target, and it will not be the Psylocke, it will be the Captain America, because they're one map up and it being a best of 5 series. Na'Vi get the opportunity to sort of feel out how averse FlyQuest are to banning some of these duelist role setups for Jerky.
Sometimes we even have seen time and time again the Doctor Strange bans on this map too, because it prevents the recontention with the portal. But I don't think it's going to happen here because it could be very risky too, as we get to see the protect onto the Mantis. I like this. You get the damage boost on top of the speed boost, and it is the Loki ban to prevent the team up of the big AoE healing of the Mantis and Loki.
Yeah, regeneration domain is already a broken cooldown enough as it is. You do not need to be letting for the damage boost potential as well. As Na'Vi remove the Invisible Woman, FlyQuest are going to be removing the Rocket Raccoon, so no BRB to be able to bring some of these players back in either a double strategist lineup or a triple strategist composition, as FlyQuest are going to be saving the Luna because yet again they see the ban line format. Na'Vi are targeting out strategists, and FlyQuest do not want to be stuck with 2 off strategists when they have something like a Mantis and an Ultron available.
And it works so well on Midtown. You mentioned Ultron because you have more of that verticality, as the last protect is the Psylocke. Remember, FlyQuest not only take us over to Midtown, but they also choose what side they want to start on. And in defense, you also have to take care of the 3-3 comp that you may want to rock out with. And if you're getting focused when it comes to the strategist, that puts a dent to some of your plans.
Speaking of plans, the scuppering of the Adam Warlock has begun for both of these two teams. FlyQuest using that last ban slot because Na'Vi, they targeted the Loki, but these bans are not universal. Universal, they are one-sided, which means that they would have had access to both the Loki and the Adam to complete that really frustrating stall strategy of just Karmic Revival, God of Mischief, copy into Karmic Revival, so that even if you don't win the fight on first, you manage to absolutely sink your opponent's chance of going the full distance. As Na'Vi, I'm sure we're going to be seeing it in a moment. Jerky likely going to be onto the Psylocke. I am very, very worried currently about the composition that FlyQuest are showing to us, because as I said, they got the Mantis through, which means that they can play a triple strategist line. They're going with an Ultron, which is known as being directly countered by Psylocke, to the point that in 4.0 we actually even saw Psylocke being banned by some teams if they wanted to run the Ultron, and that was before she was buffed. And Zealous is going to be on the rocket, and Psylocke is going to be able to flank all the way around and catch the BRB Station 2.
Oh, my favorite, everybody, is listening to Moxie getting upset when she sees this Ultron into a Psylocke matchup. It is the absolute best, and it's exactly what you were talking about, right? Because we see a lot of these counter picks as Jerky, already taking some damage, but you see Energy taking control over the high ground as, once again, FlyQuest being on this defense, trying to get the disruption, but also the damage done to boost into that Galactic Legend.
So one of the benefits of the Ultron against the Psylocke, or against the dive rather, is that he is undiveable. And starting off on the defense, Vision does at least have so much distance between himself and the Psylocke. He's currently not being pressured by the one-tap potential, which does mean that FlyQuest are bolding Rage of Ultron and allowing the triple strategist line to be able to stabilize with there's a staple on this Magneto. Moving on forward, has to deal though with the rushdown potential of Rajaro. The Carbon Crush will be shielded off, and FlyQuest are able to stabilize. Jerky still not able to find a way through, but look at what he's doing. He's not diving, he's building, he's been farming the dance of the butterfly. Soul Resurgence comes on through from FlyQuest, but that means that Na'Vi get to come on through with an uncontested invisible boundary.
Oh, Fate holding back a little bit with this invisible boundary, kind of putting it behind the payload. FlyQuest still holding forward, and now with the Galactic Legend, it forces out level 1 Crook to have the Fate of Bull Rolls energy flying all around them. Get the fly swatter as Naga tries to retaliate. Meteor M! It comes crashing down with the LeBron at the Fate. He cannot get away, but look right behind you, Spark Chief, noticing where that pesky Star-Lord is going to be backing away, because Na'Vi, it's back to the drawing board after losing out on Rajaro.
We might need to rename the meatball into the mosquito net, as there's just swords out of the sky. Na'Vi's Fate. Vision still as well, holding on to this Rage of Ultron. CC immunity will also have the aerial dynamics to stay above the Feast of the Abyss's incoming damage, but that's where the anti-heal starts to come on through. And it is Rage of Ultron, but it's not going to be able to save the players from all of that incoming damage. Does mean, though, that they've kept energy alive on the Star-Lord to take out Jerky, who was the next cycle of aggression from Na'Vi's end, and this Ultron pick is working out for FlyQuest.
It was big too because it was boosting into the dance of butterflies, but you cannot ignore who is harassing your backline. Again, look at Rajaro, that Psionic Seduction almost online, but I'm also looking at these strategist ultimates too. They used up the Rage of Ultron earlier as the Psionic Seduction comes out next. Jerky, dance of the butterflies as he gets put to sleep thanks to Cooper being on that Mantis, the insurance policy that they needed, but they have to recontest as Spark Chief is alone up here in the front.
They look to do so with Cosmic Ion Amplifier, but level 1 Crook pops Fate of both worlds, and only one of his healing strategists has a health bar attached to their ultimate. FlyQuest now relying on the Galactic Legend to clear the board, but Vez has already fallen. Invisible boundary slows everybody down into the dance of butterflies, stacked with the Galactic Legend, because this is about to be overtime. If Na'Vi aren't careful, they need to finish out the fight now before FlyQuest can stall for a portal play, and we go into second.
Oh no, run as fast as you can. If the Mantis can get back to the team, and she does get away here. You see the double jump too, just getting right back on top of the payload. But after clearing out this point, no BRB to help them out from Zelos after Cooper had gone down first, and that was the win con here for Na'Vi to be able to get that first checkpoint.
I'm really worried about this Ultron, Vicky. Not only are you up against the Psylocke, you're up against the Star-Lord too. Rage of Ultron at least has been generated, so FlyQuest, if they feel pressured, might use it to break out of Subway Tunnel. As Na'Vi just continue applying the pressure, there it is. Bullock onto Vision, sending him aggressively into Na'Vi's back line. Pushed on forward with Cooper's Soul Resurgence, and the Ultron might not heal as much as he did, but he still does the same amount of damage. FlyQuest button the hatches, stall out the momentum from Na'Vi, and are now in a good position with a flying composition to be able to scout and mark Na'Vi's rotations. But do they have the read on Jerky's position? Oh my goodness.
No way.
The Psylocke gets to use the crates. He's a hide-and-seek master.
Dude, he knows. Smart Chief is like, where is he? I'm looking for him. Oh, he heard him go invisible. They called him out. A few seconds of invisibility before backing away. And that goes hand in hand with seeing double with the Emma Frost team up as energy. He's found Trustby, but Jerky's going to continuously be a problem to the backline of FlyQuest, especially forcing out Zelos and that BRB.
The problem for them is that Jerky doesn't have LOS until now to receive the Idol Aura. Flanks onto the left side, gets it from level 1 Cork. Level 1 Cork with the fate of both worlds too. Trying to keep the teams the same through Energy's Galactic Legend, but he still fights the pick through. But look at what Jerky's doing. They saw the FlyQuest was split and they punish the spread.
Give Jerky a pay raise. It's insane. Not even with the invisible boundary. You don't even need it. Look how low he is, and he's still holding forward. He's getting enabled as Trust Me helps him out. He goes down, but Jerky finds another.
Oh my goodness, that Psylocke was just able to find the elimination through the activation time frame of the Soul Resurgence. Vision does have Rage of Ultron, but he's not currently in the fight to use it. It falls instead of FlyQuest, stalling it out long enough for him to come back into play. Vez with the Meteor and finds the connection onto Fate. No invisible boundary, but no Meteor M to absorb the Galactic Legend damage.
And now with Naga flying around here with that Galactic Legend, you have to look at Spark 2 trying to look for the interruption too. Jerky finds Zelos next, who has not been able to set up with these BRBs as well, as Jerky gets shut down. Vision knows what he has to do. It's a trade up on both sides as Na'Vi, they're down in numbers. FlyQuest are looking to wake up.
Vision, the perfect timing. If he'd used the Rage of Ultron any moment earlier, he would have been taken down by the Galactic Legend, as it just manages to melt through the Ultron self-healing. And it was because of the Vanguards that he was able to hold on to it for so long. FlyQuest now continuing to put the pressure onto Na'Vi. 20 seconds later, invading into that space, making sure that Jerky doesn't have a position, but yet again, the two spread out. The numbers are too thin to absorb the damage of Dance of the Butterflies, and Jerky has brought his team back into this fight.
Dance of the Butterflies as Jerky's always in the driver's seat. Energy can't do anything alone, and with overtime taken away, Na'Vi are looking to get this next checkpoint.
Portal, can they get the portal off in time, or will Na'Vi pick up second before it goes through? Yes, they will. FlyQuest didn't have a player ready to be able to go onto the objective and hold the timer for that portal to come on out. Na'Vi get to move into third, but FlyQuest, yet again, with this flying composition, if they win one fight, because they have so much cover through the outside of this building, should be able to find the shutdown. But for Na'Vi, it's all about the Kraken impact. No Strategist ultimate ready to be able to stave it off. Cooper with the Soul Resurgence just isn't going to do the healing required.
And with Vaz getting taken down, Crook sets Na'Vi up to control this space. They're looking at Energy. He's got the Galactic Legend, but with the fate of both worlds used up, Energy's waiting for the very tail end of that ultimate.
Galactic Legend, but Invisible Boundary comes on through from Fate. The Winter Soldier's outside it though, and that was the one pick that FlyQuest needed. Vision has the Rage of Ultron, uses it after the Feast of the Abyss damage comes on through, trying to heal his back line. The peel is there, but it's insufficient. The anti-heal still applied, and it's Na'Vi with the Feast of the Abyss continuing to move the payload forward.
Oh nah, this Venom's a whole problem. This is crazy. Seeing what Trust Me is doing onto the backline of FlyQuest. Look at Naga, Kraken, Impact, Online, Reset Potential, together with Jerky 2.
Vez might be able to shut this down. The Bucky has to use the projectiles, but no, FlyQuest has to use the meteor to buy the space back in. That Kraken Impact should be staved off though by the fate of both worlds if they even allow it to come through in the first place. Heaven's Retribution peeled off by Dance of the Butterflies, and FlyQuest are losing player after player.
Too much damage output for them to deal with as Na'Vi. They're walking the dog with the payload. Jerky, he finds Vision next. That destroys the opportunity to build into the Rage of Ultron. As Zelos, they force the overtime, the recontention with the portal from Na'Vi.
Kraken Impact, Feast of the Abyss at the same time, just after Zealous' ultimate has ended. Cooper still supplying sustainability for FlyQuest. Is it going to be long enough? Vision 5% away from having Rage of Ultron online. Will be able to find the damage and the healing. Invisible boundary bolts for Na'Vi. They're losing their players though, and that should be FlyQuest turning the tide. They just have to deal with this Eye of Agamotto.
That invisible boundary was just a little too short. Eye of Agamotto, it does find Zealous, but a nice safety from Vez to get the bubble, protecting them and preventing Na'Vi from getting to the finish line.
FlyQuest finding the turnaround, preventing the full push from coming on through. The Mantis Ultron, when it works, it works. When you're not in control of the space and you're up against the Solid and the Psylocke, there are points where it really doesn't. But that Rage of Ultron, being able to have it build up, well, not as fast as it was before, but having the verticality, being undivable by the Venom, you only really have to worry about the Psylocke in those later stages of the fight, especially when we saw the swap over to the Winter Soldier.
And that's why, together with the Mantis, you get the damage boost, right? And then you get to reposition yourself around those rooftops. You get to get a lot more aggressive, and even when you get the Ultron's Rage, you can control the space. It depends on the situation if you want to try to get a reset or even try to hold up and control that space that you need.
It works on the defense.
Yeah.
It's not going to have the same level of impact on the attack unless you just have continuous momentum. Playing into this first fight is going to be absolutely nightmarish if Vision decides to hold on to this pick, because Jerky is already going to be established. He's going to be already in that same level of space. So too is the Winter Soldier already going to be within distance to put the pressure when the Ultron decides to look for those angles, if they opt for it.
Can we talk about the difference, by the way? I know it's split up healing, but Crook is always so crazy. One of the best strategists that we have within Marvel Rivals Ignite, but we are rolling out as Na'Vi now on the defense. Look at this composition. Jerky is still on the sideline.
Energy is getting everything at the moment. It's a battle of the pockets. Psylocke versus Star-Lord, who's going to be able to find more value? Energy can try and follow up, but the question is on what? Sparkship on the Captain America is the answer, but he just can't get close enough. The pure potential of the Winter Soldier to deal with these flyers, the tainted voltage connections are so brutal.
Oh my. Bucky Barnes landing 2. First Energy next onto Vez. Energies has had enough. Now swapping over to the Solid, we get to see the 1v1 matchup that we were expecting, Moxie.
But only one of them has the Emma. Rajaro gives Jerky the lead in terms of that department, but Cooper on the Mantis gives Energy the lead in regards to the damage boost potential.
No, Vez has that Emma, and it's not banned against them. We're going to have to see, but at least with the bubble, you can protect your backline against the threat that is Jerky and Trust Me. As Trust Me looking to fly in a beautiful sleep, as we see from the Mantis of the hands of Cooper. But look at Crook and look at Fate. They have their ultimates, and they can enable Jerky, who goes in with a Dance of the Butterfly.
Dance of the Butterfly, Soul Resurgence from Cooper. The body stack is good, and they are going to lose a player on the trade. Fate goes down, no invisible boundary, which means no way of shutting down the Rage of Ultron. A sacrifice is required. Na'Vi turn their attention to deal with the Ultron, and FlyQuest sweep elsewhere.
You're seeing double here. It was 2 Dance of the Butterfly side by side as FlyQuest. They paved their path, they build up the space, and you can already see Spark Chief holding up. But when Na'Vi recontest here, Moxie, they still have the invisible boundary. Rajaro with the Sound of Seduction, and Trust Me with the anti-heal from the Feast of the Abyss.
They have to be so concerned about Rajaro opening that space, and Trust Me catching the disengagement with the Feast of the Abyss. There's the Sonic Seduction trying to force FlyQuest back. There's the Force Physics grabbing them forcefully back. And Vez falls. Level 1 Crook finds the elimination. Feast of the Abyss is surely going to be coming on through the moment fate of both horse ends.
Vez cannot catch a break, and with Cooper going down next, Fate, he's had the invisible boundary, and again, as you hear in your nightmares, Naga was looking to get these resets, but they forced back FlyQuest. The moment that they lost Vez, they knew that that was going to be Na'Vi stopping him before that first checkpoint.
Look how pushed up as well they are. They're really going to pressure FlyQuest and trying to burn one of these ultimates before they can get to the objective, or cost them time. Dance of the Butterflies finds the connection on the isolated back line, and blink and you'll miss it. FlyQuest are sent packing before they get an opportunity to react.
And Energy just witnessed a crime. There was nothing Energy could have done right there. Just literally looking at Trust Me and Jerky having their way up on that high ground as FlyQuest back to the drawing board. They're looking to recontest.
I mean, it's a lose-lose situation. If you preemptively pop the Freedom Charge, everyone from Na'Vi are just going to hold off on investing their ultimates until it's done. At least FlyQuest do have the ultimates now to be able to use. Speaking of which, Dance of the Butterflies comes on through, but it's healed. Level 1 Crook with the sustainability, Fate of both worlds. FaZe might be able to shut it down with the Meteor and connection. Finds the pick onto the Lunar Snow, and that now impacts the rest of the team's sustainability.
That was the win con. That's what he needed to do, and it was great communication from FlyQuest. You saw the Invisible Woman shield coming up, and it was destroyed just like that. And he was able to get the Meteor M, and they're able to get this next checkpoint.
No strange portal. FlyQuest had already got the objective so close to the checkpoint that Na'Vi don't get the opportunity to stall for a strange portal play to come on through. And FlyQuest can continue this momentum moving forward. Rage of Ultron, Soul Resurgence, both of those are strategist ultimates that allow you to take momentum and space against your opponent.
Spark Chief, though, he's held all the way up, trying to take a different angle, and it's because they want to be able to control this choke. It can be so lethal as he dives into the backline together with Vision and the Rage of Ultron. They're forcing them back, and he finds Naga. Huge pick, preventing the Kraken impact. It starts rolling forward, Energy finding Crook, and it is Na'Vi that are sent back.
That's exactly what FlyQuest needed to do too, because Rage of Ultron and Soul Resurgence would not have stood up to the damage potential of Kraken impact. FlyQuest, by doing that, bought the opportunity for Zealous to build the Fate of both worlds and sustain against Na'Vi's win condition when we head into this next fight, and they'll be doing so without Jerky because Spark Chief tracked the Psylocke down.
He has to keep doing that because we always know Jerky is in that back line. Crazy to see how Jerky's been positioning himself. But Spark Chief is going to be able to protect his strategist. The Sonic Seduction coming out together with Trust Me and the Feast of the Abyss. Look at Fate with the Invisible Boundary to enable that of Naga. And they're going to be able to wait this on the ultimate of Cooper. But Zelos could help them out as Energy moves up. Dance of the Butterflies on both sides.
It's the bait! Dance of the Butterflies forces Fate of both worlds. Look at the Winter Soldier, because that Kraken impact needs to be dealt with now. Aggressive plays comes on out from level 1 Crook, letting the team move forward onto the objective. The slam down of the Venom and the Kraken impact commitment, but Fez slows it all down. Meteor M absorbs the Bucky shots, and FlyQuest hold on.
Big hero, at least before Naga is still able to find Energy. Oh my gosh, the call out, by the way, from that choke is crazy. Knowing that Energy wanted to move up on top of the hook. He snipes him, the pushback. He can't get away. He gets whiplashed as he's forced back into the spawn room gate. And that's with him going down with the Rage of Ultron.
FlyQuest have to lose these players and lose them quickly. Na'Vi chasing for yet more stall potentials. Half a minute left. FlyQuest, they've got the opening, they've got the Rage of Ultron. Do they go the Strange Portal and try and flip these positions?
It could be a risk, though. Once you use that Doctor Strange portal, it's 3-minute cooldown, and with less than 15 seconds on the clock, is this the time to use it? They're looking to move up. They haven't swapped just yet. They want to push in with the Rage of Ultron first.
But this is dangerous. You have to worry about the bottom Kraken impact, but that first pick opens the way immediately. Na'Vi down the Winter Soldier, down the Kraken impact threat to hold FlyQuest off. Rage of Ultron gets bubbled, forces out the invisible boundary. FlyQuest disengage it because it's off of the objective, and they still have room to breathe. Dance of the Butterflies from Energy manages to bypass the CC coming up from Rajaro, and FlyQuest should be able to take second.
Off the triple, overtime activated. They stop Jerky, and they get this next checkpoint as Na'Vi are forced to hold back. And FlyQuest, as the crowd comes alive, they're giving them their energy. But this is what's scary now, Moxie. Once you force yourself into overtime, guess what? Now you still have only a minute and less than 20 seconds on the clock.
What's really scary as well is that they had to burn both the Ultron and the Mantis ultimate together. Now it's just Fate of both worlds, which means that Na'Vi, there's so many more fights until we hit that checkpoint. They can use the Psylocke, they can use the Bucky, either of which to force out Zealous' Fate of both worlds and find the value of the one that wasn't burned. Dance of the Butterflies, Feast of the Abyss. They're trying to find the pick even through the Fate of both worlds.
They forced it out. They forced it out together at the very least here. They can't get the fall of the protection that we're seeing onto the backline with Vision getting called out by Rajaro. They force them back, and with the Diamond Form and the Choke Slam, it also forces the bubble out.
Fez manages to find a big pick on to Trust Me. FlyQuest off at the back of that. Think that this is winnable. They full send it. What a freeze from level 1 Crook. Na'Vi disengaging it. They've still got the distance to back on off. The Captain America putting the pressure on the back line so that FlyQuest can keep on moving on that objective. But we still have to look out for the Kraken impact. There's no strategist ultimate to survive it. It's all up to Vez to shut it down. Dance of the Butterflies comes on through. Forces level 1 Crook's ultimate. But Na'Vi are still holding on to the
less than 5 seconds now on the clock. You have to stay here with Jerky getting that pick onto Vision. No range of Ultron. Cooper has missed the Meteor M. It shuts down Naga. Leave my backline alone. And now they cannot get off the point.
Na'Vi have to just stall out this objective control for as long as they can to get this coming on through. They're so close to defender spawn. Vision with the Rage of Ultron forced into using it. Beast of the Abyss comes on through from Trust Me. Doesn't find the pick. Zealous is already down. No Fate of both wants to cycle after the Ultron's ultimate is done. And FlyQuest are missing sustainability. They're missing numbers. Na'Vi are shutting them down. It's going to be a strange portal that allows Zealous to come back on through. Fate of both wants manages to make it onto the card, and FlyQuest are thrown a lifeline.
This is what they saved the portal for, the 3-minute cooldown. But look at Jerky. He's got the Dance of the Butterflies ready to go as he can try to find FlyQuest. He uses it right on top of the portal. Both teams, both Dance of the Butterflies, they are having a waltz, but it is Jerky who dances on top as Na'Vi put themselves at match point.
A historic Midtown, one that will go down for the ages as Na'Vi shut out FlyQuest on third defense. And we go into match point in our best of 5. FlyQuest have to find the turnaround, have to adapt against this ban structure. They thought that the Ultron might be the answer alongside the Mantis, but it was such a risk against the Psylocke and the Starlord still being left open.
A 55-second overtime fight at the very end. Baz woke up at the very end together with energy here. 15 final hits for both of these players, but then you look on the other side, guess what? Jerky went 44 and 10. He has 28 final hits. And this is what happens in the pick and ban phase already too, Moxie. What are you doing when it comes to Zelos? What are you going to do when it comes to your strategist struggling? Cooper, you know, being able to rely on the Mantis is great and all, but also best hero when it comes to Loki. And then Zelos literally going down 12 times, being focused by the Venom and the Psylocke.
I think if we go into our next map and we don't see an instant ban on the Psylocke, it's likely that Na'Vi just decide to shut out that ban potential and save it, because that truly would be the thing that pushes FlyQuest out of the comfort zone. We'll have to see whether or not Desk agree, as they're going to be able to break down all of the action that we've just seen.
Thank you so much, Moxie. I mean, I'm having trouble finding the words that captures the effort, the momentum, and what we saw between both of those teams on that fight. I mean, playing for it all, FlyQuest gave it everything they had on that last point, but Na'Vi has so much clutch in the veins, being able to stand so strong. Right, what did you see there that Na'Vi did so perfectly?
I mean, they're just so good in the rematches. They sort of take some of the stuff that we saw from Virtus Pro, like from the draft before, making sure that Vision doesn't get the Jeff, that you can sort of try and target as many of those strategists as possible. I think the one good thing for FlyQuest in that last map was those signs of life at the end, where you have to go towards playing the Ultron.
Yeah.
Like, why is it taking that long to see Energy play Psylocke when it looked that sharp? It's those kind of adjustments that even though you've not practiced it, you have to bring it out now because your tournament life is on the line.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think you remove Jerky Psylocke. I've been saying that for a while. I think that needs to happen. I think it would put them in a worse position. And Energy popping off there on Psylocke showcased that he has it in, you know, the pool. But I don't know, man. I'm not sure what they can do at this point.
I mean, it just seems like history in the making, and Na'Vi setting themselves up to be back-to-back. Let's go, FlyQuest. We hear from the crowd. It's so electric here. The moment where it's right there, and they're letting it slip. We'll have to see if they're able to, because, right, great point. We finally saw what FlyQuest is made of there at the tail end of those fights. I thought if they were coming together, and to your point, hey, listen, Energy has been playing Psylocke since I've been casting the man, and so we know what he can do on the hero, but to answer that as well, the dance of the butterfly at the end there from Jerky, getting the 5, both go off cinematically. Right.
He just knows how to find those like opportunities, those slight things. For FlyQuest, their backline has been hit hard with the like draft stuff being taken out. They're trying to put more protects onto the likes of getting like Lunar Snow, for example, Cloak and Dagger in that first map too. It just feels like for FlyQuest, they're making these right changes. But in comparison to Virtus Pro and Na'Vi, they have a little bit more experience, certainly playing up against each other. It just might be too little too late. I think FlyQuest now has a read on what these teams are trying to do to them, but you have to be able to pull out, like we saw some Jean Grey from Naga before. We saw the Ultron, which got nerfed super hard since Stage 2 into now. And then, of course, just energy on that silo. It's just a case of like trying to build that momentum. FlyQuest took us to this map because they managed to full hold Na'Vi in grips last time. Yeah. Na'Vi are so good at being able to fix some of those issues and come back again stronger. You're not going to strike lightning twice.
Yeah, I mean, this side, when you're looking here at Na'Vi, they're running these duelists that have huge ultimate potential, and then you see over at FlyQuest, they only have really one with the Psylocke at the end there. They have that Ultron to bait out the backline cooldowns, but they have a Kraken Impact coming in at any time that could sweep the team, and you have that Dance of the Butterfly. It's so much pressure. We saw Ultron a few times there trying to make plays towards the backline, forcing on an ult, but it was just missing other times just due to the nature of not being able to move in enough with Ultron, so it didn't get the value that you'd see from a Kraken Impact or a Butterfly every single time.
I mean, honestly, I'm finding it hard to just capture what I want to say to these FlyQuest players because I know what they can do talent-wise. I know what they've been. They've been the fit. You talk to people across the teams, the players, anyone. FlyQuest was right there with VP. I heard FlyQuest more than VP to be the favorites to win this tournament, and so my heart breaks because you look at it, 3-0 from VP. This isn't what they can do. I know they can do more, and so will they bounce back? Can they bounce back? My answer is yes. We're going to get a 2-1 and go from there, gentlemen. To make that happen, Ship, how do they do that?
I mean, again, I think they need to remove the Psylocke. I think that has been a huge problem for their backline. It has consistently found multiple KOs. And, you know, Bucky, although incredibly strong right now, Psylocke is so hard to patty cake. We talk about patty caking. Maybe for those who don't know, the strategists look at each other, heal each other, try to survive some of those ultimates. You can stop Kraken Impact with a bubble from Magneto, but you cannot stop the Dance of the Butterfly from sweeping the backline, right?
We also get map choice as well as we go to Convergence and Heart of Heaven. If you want to throw in a curveball, how about the latest map to be added into the game? We've not seen Na'Vi play it. It's a risk because you don't know what your sort of anti-strategy to an extent, what kind of compositions, what they want to kind of do, but it has gone relatively well for you. You have taken a loss on it when you played up against Virtus Pro, I think, before, but it is one of these areas where you need to be a little bit unorthodox because Na'Vi knows that, okay, yeah, you've picked Heart of Heaven a couple of times, you'll probably want to go there. It's the same with Midtown, right? I think Na'Vi's going to know that you were going to go to that map.
I mean, 100%. We saw these teams again go together in the group stage. I cannot express how elite FlyQuest defense was in the group stage on Midtown. They didn't even move. Na'Vi didn't see any life, and now they were able to go and take that whole map, and so it's like, where do we take them now? And for me, I agree. I think it's tough that you have to try to find a map where you think you can steal that W, and maybe, you know, we'll find that out here shortly. But I want to talk about a little bit of what we are seeing there from Na'Vi in Naga. This, man, did you see the hook on the Ultron on Vision? Takes him right to the back, like, come here.
Right, and the first map and the first start of Midtown, we saw him playing Jean Grey. Like, how many people have we seen go into that situation of like, yeah, this character nerfed, it's fine, I'm going to sort of be able to play into just create a lot of sort of trash damage to help Jerky get those like final eliminations. But as soon as he needs to switch over, there's an Ultron, I'm going to go Star-Lord. Or I'm going to go, in this case, like Bucky, like you mentioned. It feels that he's just so quick at making those like hero adjustments to let Jerky look so good because everybody else is starting to just adjust to the characters super quickly. Na'Vi know the win conditions from back to front. They know how to play this game, and if a new hero needs to come in, that's what Naga's going to pull out.
Listen, I talked to Trust Me on stage, and what he said to me was, hey, it's not easy playing for this team. They scrim a lot, they practice. It's a tough environment because they expect themselves to be the best. And honestly, you can't even see it over here. I'm ready to stand up and get on the desk to just show my tip of the cap of what it takes to get there through the pressure in the lower brackets of what they're doing. And guess what, my friend? We found out our next map. What do you see down there? Right.
Heart of Heaven. Which, yeah, it's going to be the first time we see Na'Vi on this map. I would imagine that no matter what, it would be a map that we see in that best of 7 Grand Final 2. So Na'Vi, they're usually very like up to speed, right? We sort of mentioned Fate on screen now. He was one of those early proprietors of Jeff when people were like, this is a trash hero. He's no good at like the esports level. He was like, I can make it work. And it's one of the reasons why they're the world champions winning the mid-season finals. And it could help them out a lot here if they can get good on the new map added into the game.
Hey, listen, y'all, this is the hope for FlyQuest, the only hope for them to not be eliminated. Atlanta, you've been amazing from FlyQuest out there. If you want to give me your spirits, let's hear it from you right now, as we will be getting ready for this draft. It will be up for grabs here now as Na'Vi looks to lock in, and again, just that leadership behind Trust Me is what we continue to see. Let's see how they find out what they can do to shut down what has been relentless from Navi.
I will say the major thing that's really hurt FlyQuest today is those just first bans onto Jeff.
Yeah.
It's just so hard, especially on this map.
On
you
this
know
map,
that he's
it's
just going to dump
huge.
them off the back if you're on the defense, which FlyQuest is on first. Yeah, don't give him the Jeff. It's so hard to counter that ultimate in game. Just don't allow it to be in the game.
Yeah, and I think something we want to touch on again that you had mentioned is when you take this team, when you take Navi down on a map like we saw in Midtown and you hold them early on, that team goes back and studies, and that will never happen again. You need to do something like this where you're coming in on a new map, as we see that lock-in from Venom, which makes so much sense for Trust Me.
Yep, Trust Me gets his symbiote. We have just seen this man stall after stall, point after point. I was talking to Shib yesterday after matches. I'm like, Trust Me, he never dies. It's crazy out here. And again, another hero I like on this map is Rocket Raccoon. He can actually hide very well within the fog of war, if you will, to get up and continue to get those respawn, Shib.
And you're seeing on, trust me, when he's on Venom, he's consistently on the point. If you look back, even if you see FlyQuest take home a win in a team fight, Trust Me has changed the point. And there is that Psylocke bait.
Oh, it happened. It finally happened. All right, so Jerky, what else you're made up out there? What else we're going to see the man play? Right, you watch Jerky a lot. What else does he have access to here?
I mean, he could play quite a lot, just all of the different types of duelists, but Daredevil, potentially, like we've seen some teams play it. It was banned out before from FlyQuest in that first map of Krakoa, so if I'm Jerky, I'm making that adjustment. For now, it seems to be more of the same. That Mantis is going to be one-sided protected from FlyQuest. You don't want that team up with Loki.
Yeah, if you're looking at the last save here into ban, I mean, did they try to get rid of the Atom v Atom? Like, there's a couple ways that they can go about it if you're Fly. Last save for them, listen, I mean, they might go with the Bucky again if you want to go ahead and roll that direction. Naga has been an absolute demon no matter the hero as they go 4-3-2-1, and it is the final lock. It is that Rocket. Yeah. I'm telling you, this is a great hero for this map.
Yeah, and Fade on Rocket. Honestly, there's the whole backline can run Rocket. We'll likely see Fade, but the combination play with that 40% damage boost has been massive throughout this tournament. Rocket is in such a good state right now. If you are able to, or if you lose Mantis, you need to try to ban Rocket as well if you really want to hinder a team, but it pretty much guarantees you will get that lock. Ooh, removing Phoenix, which we have seen Jerky play as well.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, Jerky Naga has done great on Phoenix as well. We saw an Aegis Sail. They continue to connect those as well. So they are locking in the lineups, folks. Will we get the sweep or the beginning of a reverse sweep starting here at the heart of heaven, the newest map, as we see Angela locked and loaded, and once again, these teams are ready. We've got the casters to bring it to you. All the action right here live in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's get this thing going.
Thank you so much, Cozy. Heart of Heaven is where we go for map number 3. And you take a look at the pick and ban phase here, Moxie, and you get to see the Wombo when it comes to the Rocket being banned. They know what they want when it comes to the C on the damage boost.
Yep, that Cosmic Ion Amplifier is so dangerous in these enclosed positions, and Heart of Heaven, especially when we head into second and third, has so many areas where that Phoenix combined with the 40% amp is just too dangerous to leave on the field. Speaking about that, Phoenix Energy is likely going to be playing that same hero too, as every single time that FlyQuest have moved over to this position, that's exactly what duelist they've decided to put him on. So I like that Na'Vi, just the way we saw Virtus Pro, targeted out the Invis woman to make sure that he has denied the Guardian Shield lifeline.
Take that away and you look at the rollouts that Heart of Heaven provides, hanging out on top of that terracotta rooftop. Energy getting to that position that you were mentioning too, but with Jerky being on the Hela, sure, you have no Phoenix, you have no Psylocke, but with Jerky taking an off angle, this could help enable Trust Me to get the dive.
Yeah, you've got verticality as well with the shift, where you can get yourself onto that rooftop angle and try and contest on the hit scan. Both the Phoenix and the Namor. Rajaro walks away with the first elimination. BRB will be able to bring it back, and Energy is still in his position.
Wow.
But a freeze from level 1 Crook sets up the pick, and FlyQuest don't have the BRB to bring the Phoenix from the ashes this time.
That means that they go on the Doctor Strange and they'll probably portal to recontest just in case. With Crook getting taken out, it is FlyQuest that come out on top.
I don't think they need the portal at this point, as Na'Vi, they lose too many players. FlyQuest, there was no portal cast. I don't know if it was used in terms of a cooldown, but Energy is actually going to be returning on the Hela, and we have something that's a little bit Season 0 coded in terms of duelist lineup. It's just missing that Punisher or Hawkeye, as Vision is going to make sure that Na'Vi are missing Jerky. Faye with the BRB brings him back though, and that means that Na'Vi still have the confidence to take the fight. Galactic Legend covered for with the Bulwark. FlyQuest tried to shut it down with the Cosmic Ion Amplifier. Naga is going so low, but he's not falling, and Na'Vi's players on the ground level are sweeping FlyQuest Flybus numbers.
Biggest difference is that Cooper had gone down first from the very beginning of that fight, and when you're dealing with Crook, who has stayed alive, it enables Naga to control this point, as now they're already looking to get this payload moving. The turtle as now the recontention from FlyQuest.
No portal.
No portal.
Coming on through from FlyQuest, so there is still a healthy amount of time on the bank for Na'Vi as they push into second. Energy off of the Hela over to the Winter Soldier. Knows that Na'Vi are going to be trying to play aggressive, continue applying the pressure on the defense to not allow them to stabilize and get yet more distance covered.
Be a strat difference here as Trustme with the Freedom Charge, he rallies the Avengers to hold up, and look at the way that Na'Vi rotate through these ultimates, because you also have Cooper, Spark Chief, who is looking to get everybody grouped together. As Rojaro, he's found energy, the BRB brings him right back. Cooper keeps him alive, fate of both worlds, as the whale comes crashing down, together with the boost, allows him to get the follow, but again, it's the BRB, but this time from Na'Vi.
Meteor M from Vez, used defensively against the Goddess of Death, doesn't find an elimination, but buys FlyQuest the opportunity to turn the tide. Na'Vi, though, combine Meteor M, Cosmic Yawn Amplifier, so much damage done, requires less time to fully charge up for the pick potential too, so FlyQuest don't get the opportunity to overload it, and now Na'Vi continue the momentum as FlyQuest give up Kraken Impact Charge to swap energy over to the Psylocke.
Even in the second segment, when you're playing so close together, you have the walls next to you, they don't want to waste any time like they did in our previous series when we saw FlyQuest play in Heart of Heaven. Now look at energy already onto the Psylocke, but it is Naga who has the Galactic Legend, and there is no strategist ultimates from FlyQuest to help them out in this equation.
The Psylocke is go big or go home, and FlyQuest are in danger of doing just that if it does not work out for them. Through the clouds, energy moves, Galactic Legend directly on top of FlyQuest's players. No space to disengage it, and Na'Vi find the pick. First off to Zealous, no more Rocket BRB, which means that all of the numbers are just going to continue falling lower and lower as Na'Vi continue moving forward and forward.
It's a checkmate from the very beginning of the pick and ban. When you don't have a lot of strategists to work with, the strategists from FlyQuest, they're struggling a lot. They didn't have those ultimates to deal with the Galactic Legend, and guess what? Now Na'Vi, they get the second checkpoint.
They do have a couple of split players, though. The Hela wanting to play the off angle rather than with the core stack does mean that Down to the Butterflies has pick potential. But Na'Vi have so much time, plus the Freedom Charge to be able to sustain through it. FlyQuest have to make a move now. What's going to be the go sign? There's the Dance of the Butterflies. Freedom Charge not enough to keep level 1 Crook up, but at the end of the Psylocke ultimate, Rajara is able to catch him with the Mag Cannon, and he has fallen. FlyQuest have to rely on fate of both worlds instead.
Rajara's been popping off, and even with Spark Chief being able to find Jerky, it is the BRB again. The Rocket having so much potential here on this map, and together with the Sia, Rajaro, he does it again, while Jerky, he gets 2 more, and it's a mop here onto FlyQuest as Na'Vi are clearing another team fight.
FlyQuest are forced to hold on to Meteor M2. They know that Jerky has the Goddess of Death. They know as well that level 1 Crook, the fate of both worlds. They need the one-shot potential to try to lock one of those ultimates down. Freedom Charge should be able to pave their way onto point, but if it comes through preemptively, Na'Vi can just disengage and play the angles that afford the Hela for those pick potentials. Look at Jerky on the sideline too. FlyQuest, if they want to contest this objective, go directly past the Hela.
It's giving us Psylocke vibes here with the way that Jerky's taking a nice off angle, but it's to split the attention away from FlyQuest to enable Na'Vi to hold up. Look at the follow-up, by the way, between Trust Me and the Captain America as Naga, the Galactic Legend, over to the high ground.
The overlap! Meteor M absorbs it, but at the same time, Freedom Charge is burned, and now they don't have anything in the pocket for Goddess of Death coming on through from Na'Vi's end. FlyQuest need to find the pick and shut down onto the Hela, but the wrong Hela has fallen!
Count the freezes from Crook as Jerky takes to the skies. No BRB as Energy gets the retaliation onto Jerky. But look at the space that Na'Vi have built up as they get to the next choke, and Vision's forced to back away.
They're going to have Meteor M fade the Cosmic Yawn Amplifier too. It's fresh into the fight, so Vision will have the Blessing of the Deep to try to interact with the both of it. Cosmic Yawn Amplifier comes on through. Everyone from Na'Vi getting the damage boost potential. FlyQuest have to send players onto the objective, otherwise the round finishes. They have no choice but to go directly into the damage, past the Vanguards, past the Starlord. Na'Vi are not allowing FlyQuest any opportunity to turn it, and they will complete the full push with what a time bank on the clock.
everything on the table to make their way into the grand finals. And what separates Na'Vi from making it there is one more round. What a performance so far as FlyQuest. They keep trying these different strategies, Moxie. They keep trying to go for these different team-ups. If it's not the Namor and Hala, they swap off. Then they go right back over again. But even between the Sia follow-ups and the positioning too of the Sia alone behind that one wall at the very end of that checkpoint, I mean, you can't even get through the other side of the choke.
I mean, Jerky as well just kept them permanently on the toes with the Hella pick. I think that was one of the problems for FlyQuest. Moving over to Heart of Heaven, it's a play that they've done before when their back is against the wall. Energy going over to the Phoenix is expected now as well. So Na'Vi get to come in with a full win condition. When they go for the strategist sweep, they remove the invis, which then impacts the resources that the Phoenix has available to.
Hello? 24-0?
Yep, 24-0.
8 final hits? Naga, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? Rajaro, 18-1. Rajaro too, right? Lighting up the feed, 10 final hits. As this is the last chance opportunity for FlyQuest. Again, the difference between second and third place, 40,000 USD.
FlyQuest looks stronger as well on their defenses historically on this map. Now they have to play the attack. They're not even going to be opening up with the Strange Portal, which is what they usually do, and then swap over to the Venom from Spark Chief to be able to meet them with the back angle secured for that Hella, but that means that it's predictable. Na'Vi, though, punish. If you don't use the Strange Portal, you have to go through the gauntlet that is the poke set up on this Hella angle, and they've already been able to find the pick. Trust me, just taking away all of the space.
And it forces the BRB to be used already off the beginning here, as trust me, he dives in and dives right back to help his strategist, because you can see Spark Chief also trying to take a different off angle. It's a nice fight Sky here, up and above. The skies are congested, and Spark Chief finds Jerky, but again, it's the BRB to bring him right back.
But that means that the Hella is out of the position that FlyQuest have to worry about. There is a window for them to get to be a little bit more aggressive, so now it falls to the Star-Lord to mark the Vanguards out and allow Na'Vi to stabilize, getting Jerky into a better and more punishing position. The AoE damage that falls onto Vision means that he's not there to try and keep Jerky in check, but you know who is? Vez, the hero that FlyQuest needed when the hour was at its darkest. FlyQuest finally feet on the objective. Na'Vi, though, they try and turn it with a Strange Portal play.
Time to wake up, but here comes Naga. It's going to be the recontest. They stopped them here, but they too late. A pixel too late. The turtle starts moving up, and now that portal all for nothing.
And Na'Vi, they had to throw in the towel. They could not go for the commitment of the fight, because when you move into second, it's more important, especially on a Helicon position, to establish your angle before the fight begins, other than risking getting staggered on that fight on first. FlyQuest getting to move on forward though. Vision with the poke angle, trying to shut down the Star-Lord. Trust me, making sure that Na'Vi get to play the way they want to, aggressively running towards this Hella.
It's the mirror to get the counter pick here. Well, trust me, rallies everybody together with the Freedom Charge. Fate with the Sia, a freeze this time onto Rajaro as Spark Chief tries to find Jerky. And with no BRB, they don't bring him back. Level 1 Crook can keep this fight going. He's got the Fate of Both Worlds as we have a dance-off between both sides with Cooper.
Ooh, the meteor doesn't find the shutdown, and that means that it's not there to stop the Galactic Legend the way that Rajaro is to absorb energies. Energy is still able to find level 1 Crook, though. He's brought back by the Rocket BRB, the Soul Drainer, trying to put a stop to the Star-Lord, but Energy's movement is good. He manages to make it out.
Energy trying to do everything between the Galactic Legend to shut down that Meteor M originally, with Jerky getting taken out earlier too. And Vision with the reset, the Goddess of Death takes to the skies, and it's looking to take some space.
Goddess of Death looking for these players. Na'Vi looking to still keep Trust Me on that objective, making sure that FlyQuest don't get free push, making sure that they get to set up for another fight on second, where the Hella is going to be in control of those angles, and that is why FlyQuest are already posted so far forward.
Nice little cheeky angle for a reset in case the Star-Lord needs to go back together with a team up of the Rocket. Look at Zealous with that Sia, but same thing for Fates, as now you see Energy taking a different angle here. Very similar, but you have to pinpoint where Jerky is, who also has a reset.
Goddess of Death is up in the hands of Jerky, but Energy isn't giving him the space to try and keep a track of Vision right now. Both the Captain America and the Star-Lord forcing the Hella's reposition, and she's got to burn the Goddess of Death, but the angle just means that FlyQuest can disengage it and wait it out without burning the ultimates.
Huge. That was so worth there. Can't get the reset and doesn't get the space with that angle specifically. While Jerky gets taken down at the hands of Spark Chief, they pinpointed who the problem is.
Massive play as well. That Goddess of Death does not give you a health reset the way Ensong Inferno does, so FlyQuest are able to time the Howler ultimate out and still find the elimination. Na'Vi down one of their duelists, relying on the Galactic Legend. Freedom Charge from Spark Chief trying to heal FlyQuest through it, as Na'Vi want to hold on long enough for Jerky to come back with the Daredevil.
The Daredevil's out, and now with FlyQuest taking disguise, energy, Galactic Legend, Jerky, he's found Cooper, no sustainability. There's only so much only energy can do, but at least they have time. 2 minutes, less than 50 seconds on the clock.
But the Daredevil is going to give Na'Vi all of the information about where FlyQuest are positioning. Crucially as well, all of the information about where Vision on this Hela is going to be. If they want to just walk her down, make her use Goddess of Death in a bad position, the way FlyQuest did against Jerky, they absolutely can. As Jerky keeps the pressure up onto Spark Chief to make sure that the Captain America does not pressure his backline.
See where Jerky's going to be able to position himself with Vision having the reset too with the Goddess of Death. The backline may need some help here as Na'Vi move up. Jerky trying to hold them back together with Naga up in the skies. It's the Sia follow-up here as they try to control the turtle together. And it's also going to be the damage boost, forcing FlyQuest back. But Jerky, he takes him to court with the lawyer, Matt Murdoch, coming in, following up with Trust Me to find Cooper and energy.
That Cosmic Yawn Amplifier, the damage with the 40% boost, and then to top it all off, the late pick onto Vez. FlyQuest have one good clean fight left before we go in to panic portal territory.
Zelos having that Sia and looking to see where he's going to put his BRBs even bigger. Energy, by the way, over onto the Bucky.
Fuck the Groot.
Trying to get the follow-up. It's the bread and butter as he lets the double out. Jerky, but it's energy finding Crook, but he's got the BRB. This is why the rocket is so important.
The wombo combo though, Spark moved over to the Groot, so close to strangling Prison. Na'Vi burn fate of both wolves now. They need to finish off the fight. They need to stop the strangling Prison, connecting into the Kraken impact. FlyQuest have the wombo combos. The objective is so close to the checkpoint. They should have second and a refresh on the time to head into third.
They're getting it here. Vision finding fate. They're right there as they try to clear the next corner, but that was huge. Yes, the Meteor M was forced out, but that also prevented Naga from holding up with the Galactic Legend.
Also, FlyQuest did not have to burn the wombo combo of Strangling Prison and Kraken Impact, so they've got snowball potential headed into this next fight. It's all about Rojaro. The Meteor M can absorb both. The Strangling Prison, the Goddess of Death. Does Vision use his early to try to force that Meteor M out so Spark Chief and Energy's ultimates find more value?
A Tails all this time looking at Spark Chief here on the group. Strangling Prison still. Freedom Charge. They have to find Rojaro. He pulls up the walls, even with that freeze behind him from level 1 Crook, as the freeze gets retaliated now this time onto Trust Me to delay that Freedom Charge. Goddess of Death, the reset from Vision, and he finds a 3K with a BRB to bring Crook back, but you won't have your teammates to help you out.
Na'Vi trying to get this exit trade onto Energy. They know that the Bucky still has that Kraken impact, which could come into play massively in this next engagement, especially when Zelos amps it up with the Cosmic Yawn Amplifier. It all comes down to this last fight. It needs to be a clean sweep because Na'Vi's respawn is right there. 40 seconds left. Can the Cosmic Yawn Amplifier wave goodbye to Na'Vi, or do we wave goodbye to FlyQuest in this tournament?
Depends if level 1 Crook stays alive for the fate of both worlds to help them out. Here's a Sia. Look behind you. Rojaro gets taken out. This is the opportunity. They have the number advantage as the reset comes in the 1v1.
Vision wins the 1v1. Repositioning around the bubble with the shift. Manages to shut the navel down. And Energy is popping off. Babies up by the fate of both wolves. The crowd goes wild. FlyQuest should go into the overtime half.
The crowd gives them the energy. With Vision finding Rojaro, it's just a matter of time as the star comes out and they do it. FlyQuest, they take it to the finish line. We keep this going.
Oh my goodness. FlyQuest, they asked on the stage, cheer for us. And the crowd are giving them the energy. The Kraken impact. Vision with probably the most impactful 1v1. Like the confidence to see that name or bubble reset and then go behind him, changing the angle. And you can see FlyQuest players, they're so happy that they managed to get that full push.
But this is so stressful. Imagine being FlyQuest right now. They need your support from the crowd. Atlanta, they need to hear you. This is their last chance.
It all comes down to this. 1 minute on the clock for FlyQuest. 2.5 minutes for Na'Vi. FlyQuest, we have to say it realistically. If they want to continue in this tournament, they need to pick up first. But so many times on Heart of Heaven on the attack, we see it go to overtime. We see it being full held. This first play needs to be perfect. They need to find the first pick. They cannot afford to have their BRB used before Na'Vi, because Na'Vi in overtime, they'll wait, they'll hold the portal. They know in an overtime fight, you only need to win once.
They have to call it out. The gates have opened. We're rolling out. FlyQuest on the attack. Emotional stance here as Spark Chief together with Energy are going to be rotating to the side. They have to call out where this BRB could be, as they've called out where the Star-Lord is.
The shield for his team, the shield that allows FlyQuest to move from main onto the sidelines. They've already been able to destroy the teleporter path coming on through from Na'Vi, which would allow that Star-Lord so much more aggressive plays to put the pressure on the back line. They find the BRB. This Captain America has allowed them to move on forward, and FlyQuest stop picking up the point percentage.
Huge cooldown, and trust me, won't be coming back. No BRB, as Spark Chief tries to dive the back like beautiful protect off the bubble as Jerky finds vision. But guess what? Zelos, he brings him back as their BRB is still up.
The strategists too, not getting to heal the team, not getting to build these ultimates because of the pressure coming on through for Spark Chief. But speaking of that coming on through, the portal has come on through from Na'Vi's end. Vision, untouchable, unflappable on the sidelines, picks up the eliminations, and FlyQuest in overtime should be able to pick up first.
The job's not over. No body block off the portal, but they get the overtime and they get this turtle moving.
You only need one. That is the staple play from the defense on overtime. When we see Na'Vi bank up these ultimates, they will catch them out. FlyQuest have to continue applying pressure, have to continue disrupting the ultimate batteries from this team, and Spark Chief is doing just that. The Captain America ahead of his team, buying so much space.
Mark Naga, that is the goal. Find where he is as Fate with the seal. A huge freeze onto Trust Me as Jerky. He's found vision. Spark Chief with the freedom charge. They need help. They need to sustain the BRB. It brings Cooper back, and this is important with the fate of both worlds.
Meteor M absorbs the Galactic Legend. Vest doesn't find the pick though, and Na'Vi, they force out Cooper's fate of both worlds. Level 1 Crook gets to use his leader. The damage boost is there, but trust me, on the Feast of the Abyss, FlyQuest trying to do everything that they can to stop the Venom's ultimate coming on through. Vision dodges it with the Goddess of Death, but the damage will be absorbed by the Meteor M, and Na'Vi's Goddess of Death is still in play.
This is looking to get stopped as with nobody left. Overtime taken away. They're desperate, and with none of their strategists able to hold it down, they get held back. But they got some progress, and that is the point.
They got first. That's the crucial part of Na'Vi to do just what Spark Chief did. Shield the team, allow them to rotate.
And while Naga is 37-3, the one crucial detail is that they've been marking Jerky, who has gone down 13 times. The dive potential together between Energy and Spark Chief. They have to keep this up. 14 final hits for Vision as he goes 25-12. The crowd, they're rallying up behind him. Again, they have to try to hold back Na'Vi as they get started on their attack.
It's first fight. If you manage to win first fight for FlyQuest, especially if you manage to stop Na'Vi from generating ultimate economy off of it, FlyQuest will gain so much more confidence. If they lose the first fight, and they lose first so quickly, that's when the nerves will be there in full. As trust me, on the Venom, Na'Vi, yet again, holding onto that strange portal, wanting to use it when it counts.
They get the extra shield too, right there in the spawn room gates before they're gonna be able to put the BRB somewhere else, probably hidden in the mist. As you get to see where Spark Chief is positioned, up on the high ground, trying to give them more pressure, but everybody's on this rooftop.
Marking the rotation. The way that FlyQuest took to get onto first, but Na'Vi, they go up, they go above. Can they go up back into that grand final? It's gonna be Jerky on the Hella looking for the pick potential.
The Hallelujah's Vision gets to stay alive though, and now Jerky, he gets marked, but they haven't found the BRB. He'll come right back around as level 1 Crook. They get the retaliation. They find Cooper. Both BRBs used up. And now Vision, he can't come in.
That's the soft dive, forcing the BRB first. And that means that, like you said, Vision will not get brought back, but Spark Chief and Energy together bring back FlyQuest chances. Vision onto the Strange. A minute has passed. Na'Vi denied any point percentage.
Naga has stayed alive for so long and needs some help as a portal comes in from Vision. FlyQuest, they're not giving this up just yet. They had the number advantage, so you can see where that BRB's position too, as Spark Chief is trying to stop them.
Energy has seen he's too vulnerable. On that Hella, moves over to the Phoenix. Will still draw the attention of Fire on that dive on the isolated targets, but he's got the ability with the shift to reposition, get the item, get the bubble. Cosmic Gun Amplifier comes on through from Fate. For Na'Vi, they can't afford to utilize all of their ultimates, but they might just have to. Fate of both worlds from FlyQuest holds the defensive position in it. Feast of the Abyss layered with the Galactic Legend. It doesn't get the eliminations, but it does force FlyQuest off of the point.
But this fight is going to keep on going with Crook about to get the fate of both worlds, and with the BRB bringing Jerky back. Look at Rajaro, who's backing away.
The Wombo, Energy and Vez, the Phoenix, the Meteor, the Ensong Inferno. Can it shut down level 1 Crook with the fate of both worlds? Ensong Inferno takes to the sky. Vez holds on to the Meteor. Zealous gets shut down. Cooper falls. The impact, though, does manage to find the footing onto Na'Vi.
And with an Eye of Agamotto not hitting anybody with no follow-up, trust me, he's cleared this point, and it looks like we'll keep this going, because FlyQuest already used up the portal.
Goddess of Death comes on through from Jerky. Na'Vi should be able to pick up first, and this next fight determines it. FlyQuest, no ultimates to their name, but Energy onto the Bucky, Vision onto the Hella. A first pick here from this team could be crucial.
Overtime now activated. FlyQuest looking to regroup here to stop them in this next choke, as they're going to be grouped up together, Vision being here on this Hella.
Spark is looking for the back line. He's being cleared, though, being marked by that Star-Lord. He can hold that position. He's got the teleporter ready to reposition to his back line. If he bites off a little bit more than he can chew, Vision looking for those angles, looking for those peaks. Navi gets to find a huge one. Fate falls, level 1, Crook falls. FlyQuest with the board.
They're clearing the points! They're stopping them! FlyQuest are looking to take this to another one! As Na'Vi, they're looking to keep this dog going. With Fate going down first, that means no BRB.
The respawns, though! Na'Vi's respawns are so close to where the fight is going through! Cosmic Gun Amplifier is destroyed! Trust me, gets brought back by the BRB! Jerky coming back with the Wolverine for the pass, the Croc for cracking it! Backside on off! And FlyQuest will continue in the series!
We go next, Spark Chief! The emotions are bursting! The crowd goes crazy! We keep this going!
Give them your energy! Give them your cheers! Your support! They appreciate it so much! For FlyQuest, for some of them, this is their first ever international LAN! The headsets are off! They will hear you in full! Let's hear it for FlyQuest!
Here, looking at the emotions, Spark Chief, I'm getting word that he's been beating himself up. He's not happy, but look at the performance. It's thanks to him that they've stopped the rocket, that they've been able to break the BRB, that they're going to another game. Huge first pick off the rocket. With Fate going down there, that was the win con that FlyQuest needed. Energy, 42 and 14. He got a quad earlier with 19 final hits.
Spark Chief, like you said, the Captain America, the shield for his team, getting to move FlyQuest forward. Vision on the Hella, being able to ignore the ultimate economy that is linked to these duelists, the pick potential, the setups of Soul Drainer into the follow-ups with Energy on the Winter Soldier, and FlyQuest. You can see how much it means to them, but like you said, that is the worry, right? For this team, for some of them, it's their first ever opportunity to be on a stage like this. And this is what it means to be a true professional player. When these moments count, can you close out the series? Can you have the confidence to be able to walk away with the win?
You are your worst critic, but we are going next, and with their backs against the wall, Na'Vi wondering, man, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy here, Moxie. Difficult, but FlyQuest made it happen. even when it comes to a map that we've been seeing so many times, we're going to take a look at some of these highlights, but even finding these isolation picks, I mean, we even saw a huge Meteor M from Rojaro landing in that side room.
Oh my goodness, I mean, look at the Meteor M connection there from Rojaro as well. Na'Vi, they had some truly insane plays, being able to full push Heart of Heaven with time in the bank. There's a reason that this team are the current defending mid-season champs. But FlyQuest, I would imagine we're going to be seeing a save or a ban onto the Captain America. Because, oh boy, did they assemble through that push.
I thank FlyQuest for allowing this to go the distance too, right? I've had 3-0s the entire time in our best of 5s. And now we keep this going and even making, Moxie, the adjustments, the different portions of this map was even more important. We get to see a really fresh, by the way, the 1v1 right here between the Hella.
The Soul Drainer forces the Blessing of the Deep, the reposition with the bird, so that the Namor doesn't expect, has to go for that 180 angle flip, where the Hella is already expecting, waiting for that bubble to burst. And that is the question now. Has the bubble burst for Na'Vi? Was the Psylocke ban truly the answer that FlyQuest were searching for? Is it going to now force Na'Vi into saving the Psylocke, something that we haven't seen before?
Something that they prioritized, right? When you take a look at what they wanted to save, it was the Venom, I believe, and the Rocket. So obviously the Rocket really came out, but the strategist ban lineup onto FlyQuest has been so difficult to deal with, but they're making the adjustments. That's the importance when it comes to a best of 5, not only in the pick and ban phase, but also in these matches that you get to see Vision. Man, it was the start after finding that Rocket first here.
It was the worry too, like you can see where all of Na'Vi's players are just returning to the fight because their respawn, it's right there. FlyQuest had to find these numbers, these eliminations so quickly back to back to back, and Kraken Impact is one of the best ultimates to be able to do it. As you can see, the moment where they understand, we won, we did it, we continue in this tournament, we have another chance to go again.
I love the sportsmanship here from FlyQuest. You see Bez looking at Spark Chief, his fellow Vanguard. We go next. Lock it in as we take a look at our results. After Na'Vi had taken game 1 and 2, we go on to game number 4 here. Looking at the stats alone, Moxie, I mean, we highlighted already energy who had popped off. Vision, though, on the Hella, taking these off angles, finding these 1v1s, 16 final hits.
I mean, Spark Chief was just doing so much alongside energy, right? When we had the Hella versus Hella, it's not often that you actually get a Hella 1v1. It falls to the rest of the team to be that distraction, to put the pressure on the Hella so that the other side can start popping off and finding those eliminations, and that's what the Captain America and Star-Lord were doing.
I have to give flowers to Cooper too, because when we're taking a look at the Luna Snow Freezes, it was Crook that was popping off. But Cooper, that game alone, had really woken up here. He had a lot of impact with follow potential alongside energy, as you mentioned, together with Spark Chief.
They had so many wombo combos. That and the fact that they knew they were going to have a target painted on them. They knew that the Hella isolated was going to be too vulnerable, swapped over to the Phoenix, was able to get into a position of peel where Vez with the line of sight was able to set up the bulwark. And yes, you still lost the Phoenix, but that means that time, that extra time taken to find the elimination on the duelist is time not spent pressuring the backline instead.
I have to repeat how difficult this is going to be because Na'Vi are playing so well. I mean, the fact that Naga, they lost and Naga had only gone down in that entire game 4 times. He went 41-4, just to highlight the way that the duelists from Na'Vi are playing.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying to me a little bit ago, is it worth taking out the Rocket Raccoon? Because it's not just about the Rocket with the Cosmic Yawn amplifier, or as you correctly pointed out, the BRB in so many crucial moments bringing these players back. It's also about the team up that goes with the Star-Lord now, right? Because Star-Lord, he has iframes, he has 2 of them on his right click. They also automatically refresh and reload his primary damage weapon, which is one of the reasons why we see him so strong into dive. He wins his 1v1s so easily on those isolated players. But what you can also do now as the Star-Lord is fully commit all of those resources, both of your iframes, and then just hop back to your team with the Rocket team up. So going for that Rocket save on the side of Na'Vi, it meant that they were able to get the Star-Lord into really aggressive positions and try and put the pressure on FlyQuest backline on things like the Hela as well.
And before he backs away too, to get a little bit aggressive, right? We saw Rajara put the bubble on him a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And then to combat that, Vez really woke up too, I feel like, in that game, because then the meteors would come up, and even though it would get destroyed, it's about soaking up the damage.
The
and
defensive.
also, yeah, and also forcing him to back away whenever he had that Galactic Legend.
Yeah, it's funny actually how many Vanguard ultimates can actually be kind of called a strategist's defensive. Freedom Charge, that's a defensive ultimate. It's also one that's probably more strategist-like than, say, something like an Ultron. But like you said, the value of the Magneto, it isn't about the pick potential of the Meteor M. So rarely we get to see it with the amount of coverage of natural terrain and also of shield potential. Whether it's an Emma, a Stranger Magneto, an Invis Woman, there's a whole plethora of things that can shut down the connection of the Meteor M. It's about that ability to absorb the damage, and even if you don't absorb the full duration of the ultimate, you give yourself time to react, and that's something that FlyQuest actually did. When we saw the Meteor, when we saw Na'Vi investing all of those ultimates in their overtime push, FlyQuest have the opportunity to just disengage and force Na'Vi into exhausting even more, which meant that they lost the snowball potential when we headed into that crucial last fight of second.
And the difference between that and when you take a look at the Vanguard lineup is like, you have the BRB, right, from Zelos, but it's not getting pinpointed as much as Spark Chief has when it comes to looking where Fate is positioned to. Something that, trust me, kept trying to do, but then was stopped every time the bubble then would come out to help Spark Chief find these BRBs, even when it's protected in the mist. As we get ready to go, game number 4, we're finally going to distance box. Yeah, I say this because I'm so happy. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything else when it comes to our losers finals.
Yeah, you turned around to me and you said, please. I don't want another free map series. I haven't got to cast a free map series first. And we get it. Vicky, you get your wish. I'm sure FlyQuest as well get their wish too. They continue in this tournament, but they have to get through a domination map that Na'Vi decide to take us to, and it will be Hell's Heaven. And if this isn't just the best Jeff map in the entire game, I don't know what is.
Jeff, Angela, when it comes to factory and getting those environmental KOs. Oh, going into Hell's Heaven, there's so much to break down here too, because then you look at the progress with Na'Vi. They've won a series here on Hell's Heaven alone. FlyQuest, though, too. They've gotten 2-0 on Hell's Heaven, but in terms of how domination has gone, they're currently 7-2 with their record, and then you have 9-2 when it comes to Na'Vi.
Yeah, I like Na'Vi's game plan because I feel like this is going to try and force out that Jeff instant ban on the side of FlyQuest. No, they do stick with the Manta strategy, but that means that Na'Vi, it's not an instant ban. Yeah, I was going to say, it's not an instant ban. They're trying to force an instant ban onto something that isn't the Psylocke, and when it isn't an instant ban onto Psylocke, they'll save it immediately.
Not going to risk that anymore. Although that was the win con too for FlyQuest to really rely on.
Yeah.
Still was very difficult, but Na'Vi know what they need to do with no Jeff on the table.
Is it Mantis or is it Loki? It's going to be Mantis. Loki is probably going to be the reaction ban coming on through from Na'Vi. And indeed, there it goes, removing the team up, but also allowing Jerky on the Psylocke to not have to force out those doppelgangers and regen domain before the connection of Dance of the Butterflies is made.
Also takes away the opportunity from having a potential double res if we see the Atom coming in or Protect, as it is going to be the Captain again coming out.
Captain America banned now for Na'Vi. FlyQuest removing that one from Trust Me's hero pool. Invis Woman as Na'Vi yet again continues sweeping away the strategists. That's going to be limiting the impact of things like that Phoenix, as well as a double strategist lineup. So they have to do it. FlyQuest have to go for a save on the Luna, which now leaves a duelist or a potential other strategist up on the chopping block.
You have no other choice. Once again, it's a very similar look for Na'Vi and their ban phase when it comes to focusing on these strategists. But this time, we get the Venom off the table here too. So you're not going to be able to have that follow-up here with the potential. Well, they took out the Jeff earlier, but the Protect, at least on the Jeff themselves, is going to force out the Venom here from the other side, as they already got it before.
Oh, it's not going to be a Jeff ban. Na'Vi, save Jeff before FlyQuest can remove it. That's going to be really rough. You've got the Jeff, you've got the Psylocke through on the side of Na'Vi. FlyQuest, is this going to be a ban on, I was going to say maybe Emma?
Ah, yes. Okay, because they didn't get the Logi ban earlier before, right? So
Yeah.
that opened up the opportunity from having the double res. They don't want that to happen because then there's going to be so much stall. And then on top of that, you have the Jeff to go in for the itch Jeff.
But you know what that does do? That allows Jerky to get the Emma through and the Luna. Na'Vi have been able to secure yet again every resource that Jerky desires.
The Emma and the Psylocke team up too. So you're going to see double trouble from Jerky as he's out of Psylocke jail going into this next game. All eyes on Cooper to see how you're also able to maybe get the sedation. But if that is to say, if he does stick onto that Mantis.
Is Fate going to be going for the Cloak and Dagger hit? I mean, they secured the Jeff. If we do see an early Cloak and Dagger, it tends to be into a portal follow-up play, right? You set up the portal, you set off the blind. Surely Na'Vi don't decide to give up the Jeff benefit, especially when we start off on Hell's Heaven on one of the best maps coming on through for that Jeff composition.
Get ready. You're going to be strapped in this roller coaster because trust me is on this Angela. Take a look at the disruption and then Fate being on the Jeff. You're going to be able to expect the itch Jeff off the map.
FlyQuest not going to have Spark Chief on the Captain America, but still dive. Spark Chief will be rolling out on the Angela, but it's going to be Super Soldier Factory, and it's now super important. FlyQuest shut down the itch Jeff Eats from Fate because the drop-off location is right next to the point.
Get ready for those playmaking opportunities. Look at where Trust Me's position already on top of that pillar while FlyQuest decided to take onto the high ground in this 1v1 here on the bridge. Naga already going to be able to get that burst damage as everyone's grouped up together.
Normally, taking a linear angle is perfect for a Jeff, but against a Hella Namer, it's something you can't risk. Na'Vi with the wraparound rotations continue applying pressure on every single angle. As FlyQuest, we can see Vision already forced into burning. The Namer's defensive by the pressure coming up through from Trust Me, who once is burned out will find the elimination. Energy without his mobility should be vulnerable too, but he does find a pick onto the Phoenix.
Big pick here after he was so incredibly low. He gets resustained almost immediately. Have you seen a shish kebab? He gets hit down, but guess what? He actually was able to move right back forward.
No splash. Rajaro with the diamond form utilizes the kick to get himself back onto the point. And Na'Vi still have both of their vanguards up, but FlyQuest still have energy. And when he's hitting shots like that, that Hella is a problem.
The 1v1 off the Angelas, the one-winged Angel to then find Vez off the map. That's what we're talking about when it comes to Factory as the itch Jeff comes in from Fate.
Does Fate get someone? He's making a beeline over towards the environmental.
The stagger.
Oh, yeah. That is brutal. He doesn't go for the environmental drop-off. Like you said, he diverts his course, he adjusts. He takes a left at the U-turn and decides to stagger out Cooper on the Mantis so that FlyQuest can't push forward now with the Soul Resurgence.
It's just a dead end out here too, but at least they'll be able to come in with that ultimate ready to go. Energy getting stunned out, but he does have the Goddess of Death for this next fight for a reset. Look for that Silent Seduction from Rajaro, as well as Naga close to that end song Inferno. Energy backing away here together with Cooper though. You talk about the Mantis ult brings everybody together, and it's going to be Rajaro looking at them as they try to reposition behind the pillar.
But it's not CC immune. Energy, however, will be able to find the opening pick onto the rocket, which means no BRB. Ensong Inferno tries to slow down the momentum from Energy's pickoff as FlyQuest have to worry about the Phoenix stunning them up, and Na'Vi have to worry about the damage potential of the Hella.
He put him to sleep up in the air right on top of the pit. I mean, when you talk about Hell's Heaven, he straight up sent them to hell right there, stopping them. But at the moment, they finally get the flip, nearing 15%, but that's to combat that of Na'Vi already having 50%.
They don't have anything either to combat out the dance of this butterfly damage coming on through from Jerky. Nothing but the bodies stacked between themselves. Heaven's Retribution leads them to dance of the butterflies. Everyone for FlyQuest all stacked up in one small space, and Jerky sends them all the way back to spawn.
Off of the Heaven's Retribution, I mean, who said you don't need just the Brute as they find Spark Chief at the very end? Sure, we saw some picks off the Whale from Vision, but with no follow-ups and being outnumbered, Na'Vi just reclaimed the point.
FlyQuest know that they're not going to be able to find the space for the Hella. Energy swaps over to the Winter Soldier. Vision now takes up the mantle of the Goddess of Death as FlyQuest look to make a rotation up onto the high ground. Na'Vi will be able to put the pressure through though with those Jeff bubbles and the E. Sparkchief looking for the disruption. There's nothing to stop the It's Jeff connection.
And with the Seer called in now, it allows Naga to get that damage boost. The It's Jeff coming in next. Jerky, he gets stumped at the very end here too. After trying to make a play, the It's Jeff from Fate, he's found to himself as he's gonna try to get away. Shimashade to try to find his dance and get protected. Yes, they stun him, but it also allows him to get the follow-up as FlyQuest. Cooper getting stunned here. Energy gets taken out. No Kraken impact, and it is Na'Vi taking over this fight. As the portal recontest comes in, overtime is forced at the hands of Vez.
Serpentine sticking move, and well, FlyQuest aren't going to be able to move out of the way of that one. Assassin's Charge might have assassinated FlyQuest's chances at walking away with Super Soldier Factory.
No, the body block. The Angela is a problem, but at least we're out of Factory. And now we're moving on to Frozen Airfield.
It's not Monument. That's the big thing. It's not Monument, but that's the problem for FlyQuest, right? Because Na'Vi took that first round, if FlyQuest win this map, they continue in the tournament, but they have to go into Eldritch Monument, which is just as strong a map for Jeff.
Then we go right back to the pick and ban phase if we make it there, as Cooper with some crazy sleeps here. But then you look on the other side, it's the fact that Rojaro has gone down once. Trust me, with the pop-offs. Holding onto the face of the portal, body blocking them, preventing them from jumping in to keep that overtime going. And then you have to look at what they have in terms of ult economy going into this next round, Moxie.
Yeah, you might have banned the cap. You might have banned the Venom, but Angela is just as good, if not better, a Vanguard for the players that Na'Vi want to enable as FlyQuest going to be putting Vision off of the Hela onto the Adam Warlock, Energy onto the Phoenix. So we're going for a sustainability composition, but you have to worry about Na'Vi with Fate's Jeff. I feel like this is a play you can do only here on Frozen Airfield because of the environmental drop-off to get the Adam punishment when he goes for the res.
Fate Jeff and then the wombo combo potential too with the Dance of Butterflies together with Trust Me and that Strangling Prison, but he doesn't need it because he's found Vision here, but he's got the pass of the Cocoon to come right back, but he doesn't have that Karmic Revival, so it's back to the drawing board here as he gets sent down next.
Oh, he comes back, brings himself back into the mix because FlyQuest thought it was winnable after Dance of the Butterflies had ended with the Soul Bond, and now they're going to be down that crucial cooldown. FlyQuest do have the Strangling Prison, but Na'Vi have the means of being able to dodge out of it. Fate with the CC immunity on the It's Jeff cast, potentially as well Goddess of Death to be able to boost above it.
The fact that Na'Vi still have 5 ultimates, they only use the Dance of Butterflies, is so crucial. But then you look at FlyQuest with Vez holding up, Sparkchief coming together, he's got the Strangling Prison, and look at Zelos for the sustainability to get Cooper. Yeah, they stop it right through to the other side, and he sets up the wall.
The Trainer almost takes Vision out of the mix. And remember, he doesn't have the self-res. That Adam is going to be vulnerable. FlyQuest might lose players to the Invis boundary, combined Strangling Prison and Goddess of Death. But FlyQuest trying to heal through it. It's going to be Cooper with the Fate of both wolves. Vision still holding onto the Karmic Revival cast.
And the It's Jeff, Fate comes back around as a Dance of the Butterfly, another one from Jerky. Vision brings him back, born again, as the Adam Warlock says here. And while he gets Vez together too, Fate had used up the It's Jeff earlier to get right back into this fight before.
Psionic Seduction from FlyQuest to push from their position of the red spot onto the objective. Na'Vi don't have the Stratus ultimates on FlyQuest. They don't have the ultimates, but they do have the resource. Soulbind is a defensive cooldown that has just the same value as an ultimate, and Na'Vi are feeling the pressure.
Still, we're stalling for quite some time. They're nearing 80%. FlyQuest finally, they flipped the point. And now when Na'Vi comes right back around, Crook will have that invisible boundary. And then you look to the other side, FlyQuest, they need to enable energy to get another Dance of Butterfly.
Composition flip too, off of the Hela onto the Winter Soldier, because they know with that point percentage difference, FlyQuest have to apply pressure and then disengage, and that's what Bucky punishes. Both the grab from the Invis and the hook could be the thing that sends FlyQuest losing one of their players too early.
And it matters if he gets that reset. if you get that Karmic Revival, you have to pinpoint where Vision is. As he's trying to get the folk together, Naga's about to get it. The Kraken impact, the invisible boundary though, to combat that of Spark Chief. He brings them together as the Kraken impact gets taken in, and Naga, he gets the reset. Again and again we go. And with Fate and the Eternal Bond, Na'Vi, they move up to evict FlyQuest off this point.
Fate of both worlds denies the reset opportunity, but Jerky catches the disengagement. FlyQuest had to be pushed out of that position because of the threat of Terror Cape from Fate's position of the Eternal Bond. And Na'Vi will be able to claim the eliminations. FlyQuest do still have Vision with the Karmic Revival, however, and we're about to go into a final fight territory. Spark Chief, he did it before in Heart of Heaven. Can he do it again on the Captain America? Na'Vi decide to go first. They're going before FlyQuest get an opportunity to stabilize.
Love that Emerald Cross Shield, by the way, prevents the hook from landing as Crook, he gets a finishing blow onto Spark Chief. Overtime taken away as Na'Vi are looking to finish it here. The back away though, as they call out Vision and the Karmic Revival coming in.
Karmic Revival is going to end in a matter of moments, and that's when Na'Vi decide to make that move. Kraken impact coming on through. No strangling present, but the Gruul isolates them. Now it's up to Energy. He's got his own Kraken impact, but the healing from the invisible boundary. He dodges the cast of the Gruul ultimate. The CC frames on the ultimate carry him above it, but Na'Vi are carrying themselves through the fight. FlyQuest weren't able to find the eliminations.
And with Cooper coming back on the Doctor Strange, is it enough time with overtime? Spark Chief, he's trying to keep the dream alive. The stall as the portal needs to come out, but is it too little, too late? It is by a second. Na'Vi, they take the losers final match and they move on to the grand finals.
Grand finals, an EMEA versus EMEA rematch of the ages. Will it be Virtus Pro, the team that everyone said was the strongest in the world at the beginning of this year? Or will it be the defending champions, Na'Vi, who bought themselves a moment of redemption, a chance to go up against their rival? But we have to say, what a play from FlyQuest. Truly a team that will go down, will be remembered when we look back on.
And Crook went down once. Fate only twice. And that's with FlyQuest. Trying so many different strategies. Sadly, I believe Cooper's KO countdown was like 8 seconds at the very end there. So by the time he was on the Doctor Strange and they rolled out and he sets up the portal, it was literally that 0.5, 1 second too late at the very end. But Na'Vi were playing out of their minds that entire series.
Oh, Na'Vi, like you said, they read it perfectly, that last fight. They know that FlyQuest are coming in with wombo combos, and they go first. The Emma's Psionic Seduction put so much pressure onto FlyQuest because we're about to hit overtime. If FlyQuest hadn't moved on forward, they would have been...
Sparker, when Sparker first started his esports career. Just imagine that with the rest of FlyQuest and what they could do here. They've had a great performance and a great representation from the Americas region. And you can already see how emotional, the pressure, how it gets to you when you perform on the big stage, Moxie. That's why boot camp is so important right before lands like this.
I mean, they had that moment, right? Heart of Heaven, overtime, back against the wall, the hands shaking, and they were able to pull through. Like we said, FlyQuest, the narrative of this team being a choke team has truly been thrown out of the window as we get ready to throw it over to our desk to break down all of the gameplay and set ourselves up for a grand final, head-to-head EMEA v EMEA.
Ladies, what a cast, what a game. Na'Vi seem to do the impossible and that set themselves up to be back-to-back champions. I am just blown away. We're going to talk a lot about Fly, but first, right, Na'Vi, how did they go through the lower bracket and get it done like that?
It just seems to be the thing that they love to do, but you've got to give that Heart of Heaven from FlyQuest was great from them. The adjustments to take Jerky off of a lot of his hot topic heroes, right? Because it seemed like he was really doing well this event, and the problem is if you do well in an event like this, you get targeted hard. So that adjustment was a little bit awkward for Na'Vi, but the thing is, they're used to being in those situations. Next map, they know to sort of protect, prioritize, get in that Psylocke, move around it, and just keep Vision off the Jeff. He has not had a chance to play him at all today.
You can make plans against the planners. I mean, I feel like Na'Vi just had an answer for every single thing throughout. Outside of the Hell's Heaven at the end there where I saw some rotations I liked a little bit better from Fly, Na'Vi seemed prepared for everything, Ship.
Yeah, I like Fly's comps a lot more towards the end. I wasn't loving the Ultron comps. Not a lot of success with Ultron in this tournament as a whole, so definitely looked more like themselves, but again, letting fade on that Jeff. We talked about Jeff, and they always provided.
That's what I was just going to say. We set it up here as soon as we saw the Jeff squeak through, other side not having it. I mean, it's just so hard on Hell's Heaven.
Yeah, I mean, Moxie highlighted it as well with FlyQuest just as a team. They're just starting.
Yeah.
It essentially feels like Na'Vi are 6 months, maybe 8 months ahead of where FlyQuest are. And this kind of experience, you could see it in the players' faces for FlyQuest Spark Chief, especially just the blood drained from his face, crying when they get that map win. This is not a feeling that they're going to forget, just how awful it is to be in this position. Once they get this chance again, they know how to be better and to do it better next time.
Yeah, I want to say this. I think Na'Vi going through the lower bracket was doomed there against the North American teams, because you're right. It was just the practice and the experience this team had. They were the final boss to get through the lower bracket, and it's so tough to come into your first LAN over here and try to match that. VP, it's inter-regional. At least they have that going for them. They know each other better. I mean, to go against this kind of Na'Vi team, FlyQuest, it's so rough.
Needs to be reiterated, FlyQuest's first LAN here together. I mean, they look so strong. Obviously, these last couple matchups have looked tough on them, but I'm telling you, on the end there, looked like their old selves again. Definitely bouncing back, but you cannot stop Na'Vi.
When you have an event like this for FlyQuest, when you have unbeatable groups, when you basically drop a handful of maps, once you start losing those maps that you've been dominant on, not only at this event, but in stage 2 as well, it becomes a little bit of just a falling through the sky kind of moment. You have to quickly adjust, work out how you want to approach stuff. And for Na'Vi, they're sort of used to having maps dropped against some strong teams in EMEA, but they have the pivot and the adjustment in the right time.
Yeah, I have to say, I was talking to a lot of the parents of FlyQuest, from Vess's mom to Energy's parents as well. And listen, I told them, be so proud of these kids, because coming here for your first LAN, putting up a performance like that, the crowd, if you heard this crowd, it's what it's made for here. LAN, first ever in Rivals. It had me hyped. My hands are red, fellas, for clapping, losing it. That was cinema.
Yeah, I could have ran through a brick wall when the crowd was standing up like that. I'm not going to lie to you, almost flipped this table here. But yeah, I mean, couldn't pull through. I mean, a team that we all love to watch. The crowd was, as you're saying, losing it, but Na'Vi has a ton of fans as well, and so does VP, which is coming up here shortly.
Right, I think, hey, listen, the question's been answered.